What day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-woo!
You blinked again.
I have a fuzzy in my
Wendy
eyeball.
Bell Radio is live.
Do you ever have that? It's so annoying. You put on a shirt or something and you get some weird fiber and it's like something you can't see, but it's in your eye. And you're like, I swear to God, I'm going to gouge my eyeball out. I'm having that kind of a morning. Beep, 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 beep. Other than that,
Have you gotten a response from them?
no. And I sent another one yesterday. I'm like, hey,
I'm telling you, you need to go down and audio it.
Okay.
And send them the audio file. Be like, do you
So
want to hear this?
So I'll set it up. I'll set up a camera, my phone, and I'll just hit record, and I'll walk away for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Be like, I hear this every 4 minutes. Do you want to hear this every 4 minutes?
It's awful.
Call me back.
It's awful. I will say that. How is everybody? Hello.
I have one question for you.
What?
What's today?
Oh my gosh.
What's today? I got to reverse the rules, so you have to do. Wendy, what's today?
No, what day is today?
What day is it, Wendy?
No.
Wendy, what day is it?
It's hump day.
There you go. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, I have nothing. I don't know what I was going to say. Oh. Okay, before we get started, first of all, thank you for all of your rumbles, right? And I know we've switched times, and a lot of people who are watching at noon are unaware that we were on 3 hours earlier right before the new year. And a lot of people that used to know we need the rumbles to stay on the leaderboard. You might not know that. And so if I nag you, I'm sorry, but I have to nag you. Because if I don't, we don't get the rumbles, and then we suffer on the leaderboard. So you rumbling equals us doing better comparatively to everybody else, and then we get advertising from that. So you have a role to play in this whole thing, and I'm really grateful for you. Thank you so much. All right, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors. I'm psyched. I've got a couple wellness company products to tell you about. This one I think is really important. The big medical hack of 2025 was several peer-reviewed studies identifying these direct connections between anti-parasitic medications having off-label benefits and being able to fight a wide variety of cancers. And this makes sense because the connection between tumor growth and parasites has been known for years. So while the CDC remains silent, they've admitted that millions of Americans suffer from parasitic infections that often go undetected and undiagnosed. This is why Dr. McCullough, the chief scientific officer at the wellness company and the world's most published cardiologist, says these studies make a clear case to do at least one medical grade parasite cleanse a year. So the wellness company's proprietary USA compounded ivermectin and mebendazole is a doctor-prescribed gold standard combination dose. It is it's designed to help your body eliminate parasites plus other incredible benefits. Each bottle contains 90 capsules, which is enough to complete 4 21-day cleanses. So you could do this for your family, right? This high-strength formula can't be found at your local pharmacy. The wellness company removes the red tape by making the process fully digital. You fill out a quick intake form, right? They review it on the other side, but the doctor and your medical-grade parasite cleanse arrives in a week. It is a time for a new you, a reset, and to take charge of your health. So twc.health/Wendy, use my name, and you're going to save 10% and get free shipping. So this is a cleanse. You do it once a year. If you have a family of 4, this one order is going to satisfy you and your other family members to each do a cleanse once a year. It's phenomenal and so necessary. How much of this stuff that we knew about, ivermectin and all this stuff, which is so safe, so effective, so cheap, and they obviously didn't want us to get it. I wonder why. So Brock and I were talking this morning, and we're like, I decided we were going to put in some Bill Maher and Adam Carolla. We had one clip of his yesterday or the other day, and I went back and I listened to their whole exchange. And it's fascinating because Bill Maher is representing somebody on the left who's seeing the radicalizing of the left for what it is.
He's conflicted,
and he's really on the fence. He's Palm Sunday.
I told you what I thought about him.
And I think you're right. It's about meeting Trump. That
I
dinner.
think he met Trump and it blew his narrative and their narrative out of the water. And
I'm
now he's
supposed to hate
conflicted.
you.
And you're not that bad of a guy. As much as I hate you, I don't think you're a bad guy now.
Right?
All right. Time to annihilate the left.
Aha, let's see.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane,
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back, not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. We're monitoring this wild situation going on in Texas. You've got the FAA shutting down airspace over San Antonio, saying it's going to happen for at least, indefinitely, kind of 10 days maybe? And everybody's like, what? One of the most populated cities in America, and they're shutting down all the airspace. And then just about 2 hours later, they come out and say, you know what? Nope, we're opening everything back up again. It is so interesting, this war on drugs, this president and his focus on drugs, FAA saying to us, you know what? The Mexican cartels, we're droning drugs across the border into Texas. And so they shut the space down to neutralize the threat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a president and an administration that actually tells you what they're doing because they give a crap about you. What's that feel like? It's weird, isn't it? It's weird. WendyBellRadio.com, how you can follow along. Live video stream all 3 hours. I'm so excited you're here. We have a packed show, and it's stuff you're not going to get anywhere else. So welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. I got in my car yesterday, leaving the studio, turned on the radio. It was on Fox News Channel. Wall to wall, 24 hours a day, Nancy Guthrie. It's all they've got. There's so much going on in this country right now that you're not hearing about because for whatever reason, your network news is completely 100% hook, line, sinker, obsessed. Like John Benet Ramsey, Brock said it the other day. He's like, I swear I haven't seen anything like this since John Benet Ramsey. I'm like, you're right. It's wall to wall. Everybody is a super sleuth. Every news anchor whose job, by the way, and I can tell you this because I used to be one, is to give you the news. It's not to opine. It's not to pretend you're Scooby-Doo and that you've got some snacks that you're following along. It's not to suggest things. Well, what about this? And what about that? I can tell you really right now, okay? I've been in the newsroom when multiple big stories have hit, okay? And I've watched the madness of a television newsroom go absolutely haywire when there's a big story. At the beginning, you just got to get your anchors on the set, give them whatever you need to get some kind of images on the air, break into news, boop, Here we go. Breaking news. Tell people what you know, right? If you can drag it out, maybe you have a reporter somewhere and you're going to go to them. Well, let's find out what's going on, Sheila. Well, Bob, let me tell you what I know, right? And then maybe as the story develops, you're like, there's an expert who knows the area, knows the subject matter. Maybe we dial them in. Ladies and gentlemen, we're down to like Uber drivers and like mailmen who are like weighing in on this case. It is 11 days of nonstop wall to wall. I don't get it. And I want to tell you, there is a guy out there who I absolutely love. His name is Scott Libido, and he is in his car driving yesterday, and he feels the same way I do. He's like, why is the news all about this missing woman who, God willing, will come back to her family, has not died, is okay, and all of this gets remedied sometime soon? But he's like, look, I don't need 24 hours of this. And he's spot on. Listen.
Yeah, it's me. It's gotta be me. Am I the only one questioning all of the news outlets the last couple of days? Look, I'm intrigued and I'm hopeful and I'm praying that this elderly woman, this 84-year-old woman, Miss Guthrie, the mother of the news reporter, gets returned safely from this kidnapping thing. But there's 40,000 people in Iran who just got slaughtered trying to free themselves from the regime. We got hell breaking out here in this country on a daily basis. We got the Epstein going on. We got a war in Ukraine. And it's 24/7 with this story. You guys, I love and respect you. I'm a news junkie. I listen to all of you. But stop trying to be Nancy Grace. Stop trying to be the white-haired guy from Dateline that we love and we watch all of those stories. Stop trying to be the Forensic Files. Deliver the news. All of it. It's insane. Every minute of the day, everybody's Sherlock Holmes. Well, they went to the mother's house and there was a caterpillar on the doorbell. The caterpillar had a spot on its back. They sent the FBI in. The guy who lives next door has a dog. The dog's name is Spot. They brought the dog in for questioning. The dog had fleas. The fleas were in a circus. They're going to when the circus was in town to see if there's any little people that might have came and took. Please, deliver the news. All of it.
Oh my gosh, I'm sweating listening to that. Look, take obviously the seriousness of the story out of it for a moment. Understand the laughter. It's preposterous, you guys. You know, the last time this happened to us, right, was COVID. There was nothing else that happened during COVID. There was nothing. There was no other news. It's like it sucked the oxygen out of the air, right? Oh my gosh, let's go now to the doctor over here. All right, now we're going to go to Phil street level over there at the hospital. Phil, what do you see? All right, now we're going to go to this guy who knows nothing, but we need to stretch this out because we stopped being freaking reporters long ago and we don't know what we're doing. What do you think, Bob? Come on. Everybody, I watched this morning at the gym, okay? For the entirety of the hour that I was sweating my ears off, they were covering this story. It's not just the anchors standing up at the wall being like, well, let's look at the evidence. That's not your job, okay? That's not your job, because you know what's your job today? Your job is this number. It's 11,779. Do you know what that number means? Now, nobody over at Fox News does, because they're talking about Nancy Guthrie. They're dialing in some criminal defense attorney that they have awakened from obvious deep sleep. And they've dusted her off, and now she's going to tell you what she knows. She knows nothing. She's in California. This is happening in Arizona. What are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Right? But I see this. 11,779 votes is what Joe Biden allegedly won the state of Georgia with in 2020. 11,779 votes. Okay? They have found 17,000 ballots in their review from Fulton County that have no records. They're just gone. Where did they go? What happened to the tabulators? Where are all of the data rolls? Where are the machines? Where's the chain of custody logs? Where are the missing 44 boxes? Well, we don't know because now we're dialing in former Attorney General Bill Barr. Mr. Attorney General, what do you think about Nancy Guthrie? Are you kidding me? Look, I love the news, right? I have been a news junkie my whole life. It pains me to see a medium of communication, of information that once didn't suck. Maybe not as badly, right? They suck so bad now they don't even realize it. So if you flip on your TV just because you're near one, turn it on. Send me a message, wendybellradio@gmail.com. Tell me what's on your news channel, because I'm going to go dollars to donuts. It's Nancy Guthrie. In summary, I'm not going to talk about her again today. There's nothing I have to add. I wasn't there. I don't know the family. I'm not dialed into the evidence. There's a lot of people asking questions, a lot of people pretending they know the answers. And the real story is nobody knows anything. And covering it for another 24 hours and beating the same piñata ain't going to change it. This program, my friends, we're going to talk about some pretty big information today. We're going to talk about some phenomenal accomplishments of the Trump administration that Caroline Leavitt, by the way, sets on blistering fire as she reclaims her time in the press pool briefing yesterday, right? And she's like, it's funny. All of you want to talk about what have you. That's not the important stuff. It's not the jobs. It's not the economy. It's not the billions and billions of dollars coming in because of tariffs. It's not the all-out war on drugs and the decimation of drones that the Mexican cartels were flying into our airspace. It's not the reactive attention of this administration. It's not the speed with which we're dismantling issues in Minnesota. It's not the story of obvious election fraud. 2020, 2022. How far back do you guys want to go? Because I guarantee you, they were cheating then too. So if you'd like to talk about some other things today, including phenomenal job numbers, okay, then you found the right spot. WendyBellRadio.com. Join us. Always in the live chat. Just keep coming back. All right, when we come back, let's hear from Caroline Leavitt, who sounds a little bit like this. Next. She's great. She did exactly how I feel.
Yeah, we usually don't start with the sound of the day. That's...
I listened to that and I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like conflicted because I don't want to be laughing and making fun of the ridiculosity, but by golly, it's ridiculous.
Well,
it's ridiculous. Can you imagine if they looked for anybody you and I love as vigorously as this? Why?
Let me give my 2 cents real quick. Fox News is unwatchable. And I swear to God, if I see one more Fox News alert, it's just them resetting the whole story. No, your next Fox News alert needs to be she's dead or alive.
Something else. Because when it's like, whoosh, I'm like, oh, that's just a transition. That's all it is. Look, I used to be the breaking news person, right? So when nobody knew anything and they're like, you got to get out to the set. And I'm like, to do what? And they're like, well, we got to break in. I know your zeal to break in and be first, but don't you want to actually have information, right?
It's not an alert.
It's crazy that way. Can we figure it out? Why do we have to compete with each other? Because nobody's watching television that way. Nobody's sitting home with 3 sets and they're like, well, CBS beat NBC by 7 minutes. I like them better. What are we doing? All right, Kelly Morgan, Morgane's Fitness. I'm so impressed by this young man. And so I just want to quickly read to you Morgane's Fitness. Look, what Kelly does is online with this program called 90 Ignite If you go to Morgains, MORGAINZ fitness.com, you can sign up be on the waiting list for this. And what it is she helps you in 3 months basically exercise your way to a smaller you, to a healthier you. And you change things you eat, you change how you move, and then you take some measurements afterwards. And I want to tell you about this young man's measurements. Look at his before and after. It's just crazy. Look at that. Like, I can give you all the specifics, the pounds lost in fat. He's gone from 104 pounds of body fat to 57.7. And his body fat percentage has gone from 41% to 28. That's freaking crazy. That's called Morgains Fitness. That's you getting involved, taking charge, and Kelly giving you the guidance. 90 days. Do you have it? Do you have 90 days? Yes, you do. Morgainsfitness.com. The whole breaking news thing, Brock is right, is just, and I have a New York Post here article, first chilling photos of Nancy Guthrie kidnapping suspect. And then they had to go over everything about him. Well, look at his gloves. What's that gun? What's he doing with the doorbell? What's this? What's that? And I'm like, why did it take 11 days for us to see that? Like, what? If you want to really think critically, we could do a full Independence Day. That's what he called it. Wasn't it Liberation Day? That's what Donald Trump called it. In the Rose Garden, signing all the tariffs, being signed that legislation. This is what we're doing. The rest of the countries in the world have been screwing over the people of America, and it ends today. And people on the left howled, oh my gosh, what's he doing? Everything's going to cost more. Inflation's going to go up. We're already struggling. And then what happened? All these countries were like, well, I can either pay through the nose with these new tariffs to bring my imported things into America, or the president says if I build my stuff in America, then there's no tariff. Oh, I don't know. Which way are you going to go? And now all of a sudden, boop, 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 this just in. Oh my gosh. The January jobs report is in, ladies and gentlemen. Did you hear about this? The non-farm payrolls for January, 130,000 jobs were created. That is almost double the expectations. While at the same time, 42,000 federal government jobs got eliminated. Oh boy. Do you think maybe we should be talking about that a little bit? I do. Caroline Leavitt yesterday, as she's wrapping up the press briefing in the White House, she basically finger wags the entire press pool because she's like, it's so curious that all you want to talk about is Jeffrey Epstein this and Jeffrey Epstein that and what have you. She's like, I'm going to tell you some of the things you haven't talked about that are certainly noteworthy. Caroline Leavitt on fire.
I will just point out that there are a lot of wins in the news this week that people in this room have not asked about because you continue to ask questions about the same subject, so let me point them out for you. Again, on Friday, the Dow shattered 50,000 for the first time ever. This week, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons came out in opposition to gender mutilation surgeries for children. They are the first major medical group to do so. A federal appeals court today, nobody asked about that, just upheld the Trump administration's policy of detaining illegal aliens, validating the strong measures that have driven illegal crossings to historic lows, and sent a crystal clear message that under President Trump, if you enter the country illegally, you will be detained and removed. The murder rate, again, not a single question about this, has plunged to a 125-year low as crime falls across the board thanks to President Trump's crime crackdown. We also saw this week national median rents have fallen to a 4-year low following 6 consecutive monthly declines, and mortgage affordability has surged surged to a 4-year high. Home ownership is the core foundation principle of the American dream, and I will repeat that mortgage affordability this week surged to a 4-year high, but not a single of mention of that in this briefing room today. And again, this came out last Friday, but for an unprecedented 9th straight month, there were 0 illegal border crossings at the southern border. So we're going to get back to business. The president is very busy today, and you will see him all tomorrow at the event in the East Room touting his administration's energy policy. Thank you.
And meantime, it's all about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Did you know that Donald Trump has been mentioned thousands of times in those files? Let's talk about that. Well, really, the tariffs that we started talking about here. Did you guys hear the number that was raised just in 2025? Just by this president saying to the other countries, we're going to start being fair. Because you know what fair is? Fair isn't taking advantage of the goodness of the American people who bail you out when a tsunami knocks out your country. Fair isn't bending over the American people who shoulder the financial responsibility of like 75% of all pharmaceutical pricing in the world by us shouldering far more than our fair share of the cost. He whittled it down to most favored nations pricing. That's giant. It's more than that. You guys hear what's going on in Minnesota? What do they say? Somalian fraud there. Minimum $9 billion, likely stolen from American taxpayers. It could be 18. It could be $40 billion. In 2025, Trump's tariffs brought in to this country $256 billion. Do you know what that amounts to? That is $700 million a day. Why is nobody talking about that? Oh, because Trump and Epstein, Epstein and Trump, Trump and Epstein, Epstein and Trump, Nancy Guthrie, Trump and Epstein. Right? I want you to hear the CNN or CNBC news, babe. She's like, look, it's not just the Dow hitting 50,000, breaking it and moving forward, but on this record tariff revenue.
How much we've been collecting in revenues. And I did this in part because Wilfred's here and he can talk about the UK trade deal, but just this is the monthly numbers. And they have gone up a lot. June is actually set for another big increase of $27 billion. That is money coming into U.S. coffers from tariffs. We are collecting a lot of revenue. So far, guys, $121 billion has flowed into the U.S. government since the start of the fiscal year. It's still a tiny portion of the overall revenues that the U.S. government gets, but it's increasingly a lot, especially we haven't seen it in terms of the consumer paying off higher inflation.
She doesn't even know what to say. She's like, it's increasingly a lot, $128 billion since the start of the fiscal year. What is that, October? So since October of last year until now, October, November, December, January, not even 4 full months. And this president has brought in $128 billion. There is no competing with that if you're a deep stater. There is no message about affordability that's going to stick the landing anymore if you're on the left. And they know it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you know that 2020 perfect election? Well, it's looking less perfect every day. Big information about that. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Oh, is that so?
Yes.
Okay, that's good
Big
to know.
time.
More Gains Fitness. I got a great, and it was an unrelated testimonial today. Somebody had written me about yesterday's show and how we were giggling because both Brock and I completely spaced a half hour of the show. Like, I'm like, is there no 1:30 segment? What happened to that? He's like, I don't know. We didn't block it. So we started giggling and talking about other things. And so this person ends up writing me. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's the sweetest thing. You guys have been wonderful. Here we go. But he threw in there this wonderful, let me see here. Of course, now that I say it was a Blood Flow 7 testimonial, and I'm going to try to find it for you. Let's see. And the number of people who are like, I lost my keys once and I never did it again. I'm like, no, I remember. Anyway, he's like, look, I just got back from working on my son's, fixer upper, and which I would not have been able to do before taking Blood Flow 7. I was talking to my trainer about this. She's having a procedure done and medically has to be off of all medications. She's 64 and she's fabulously fit. And I said to her, she's also a damn good pickleball player, like professional level pickleball. And I said to her, I'm like, you know what? I bet you Blood Flow 7 could even make you stronger. And she's like, what? And so when she's finished recovering and can start taking this is literally what we talked about today. She's like, I'm super excited because she sees my progress in going up in weight at the gym. And she's like, it's undeniable how you have changed stamina and strength wise. But for this individual to write me and say, I'm assuming this individual is like 60, 70 years old.
I thought he was 69.
Maybe that's what he said. I forget. But he's like, I wouldn't be able to have done this before Blood Flow 7. And I agree. Nitric oxide, that's what it is. Nitric oxide is what opens up the blood vessels so more blood can flow through your body. And what that does to you is undeniable. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Get it. Use Wendy30 as your promo code. You're going to get 30% off. And if you are married and your husband is, needs it to or wants it to, there's a specific iteration of it for you. It's called Alpha Gold Male. And it's different for men than it is for women. Blood Flow 7 for anybody, but specifically targeted towards men, the Alpha Gold Male, both together, 30% off, bloodflow7.com, and Wendy30 is going to be your promo code. I won't go a day without it. I won't. I'd be worried that I'd be like, oh, what happened? What happened? So it works. Thank you to everybody who's been getting our coffee mugs, right? So Brock has one. I have one. This is what they look like. This is Gary Varvel. He was on our show and he made us a beautiful cartoon, beautiful pictures of ourselves. So we put me on one, Brock on another, and a lot of you guys bought them together. And so Brock's, and we only made like 50 of Brock's, but we're making another 100. I'm not, Jolene is. And so Brock and I are going to go out and pick those up this weekend, hopefully, and then get them in the store this weekend. And so hopefully you guys can start ordering those on Monday. And thank you for that. Like, how beautiful that you would see us as a pair and you wouldn't just get one. So thank you. That's deeply heartwarming. By the way, we are running lower and lower on the Second Amendment commemorative gifts. This is what they're listed as in our WendyBellRadio.com merch store. It's on the back. It's Clarence Thomas's North is Still North that I love.
Back it up a little bit. There you go.
All right. So that's what it says. And this is what it said. This is what, you see. So this is the 30 round magazine. And
Second Amendment commemorative gift.
On our website, Second Amendment commemorative gifts is what it says. So the first one's gone.
And we're not going to start the third one until the second ones are gone.
Right. So that's the story with that.
Oh, people were throwing money at you.
Why?
Yeah. AVBORAH64. $10. Did you know or hear from the news that if we could eliminate fraud, both dollars in elections, everyone earning under 500,000 can stop paying taxes?
Right on.
Yeah, we played that.
Yep.
We played
Aviator,
that,
thanks for the 10. I love that.
And
Appreciate it.
$2, $1, $2, $3, $10. I lose my keys. My wife calls me stupid. She loses her keys, and I am stupid for not finding them.
You know what?
Let's just touch on what we said yesterday.
Touche.
No win for men. There's no winning.
I'm sorry
the best thing
that
you can
all
do
feel
is
like
just,
that.
yes, dear.
Oh, I'm sorry that you feel like that.
This is Dr. Brock. I'm listening.
I need a haircut. I've got a jagged part.
Oh, boy.
I've got hair all over the place.
How's that any different than any other
It's
day?
not. I'm just paying attention to it. I have a monitor and I can see myself and it's disturbing. Anyway, let's rumble.
Yeah, numbers are down across the board for all of Rumble.
Yeah.
Even Bongino.
We have barely not even 5,000 people here. Normally we have at least 6 before the time switch. We had 9. 8 to 9. So yeah.
Eric the Great, Brock, you got me in trouble yesterday. No, you opened your mouth. You got yourself in trouble.
Oh.
Don't be blaming me. That's very liberal of you.
Bros before. And over at justthenews.com broke open this story that the longer we talk about Nancy Guthrie, it seems the more information that would tarnish that squeaky clean image of 2020 being the safest, most secure, most fair election ever. It's all getting tarnished, ladies and gentlemen, because that perfect election looks less and less perfect every day. So a federal judge yesterday unsealed the FBI affidavit that confirms election records in Fulton County. Their 2020 vote count were manipulated. The votes were manipulated. Wait, what? I thought you guys said that wasn't happening. I thought it was nothing to see here. I thought anybody who had a weird feeling about 2020 was a big liar, right? Oh, you're part of the big lie. Isn't it so creepy how they had to do that? It's like playground bullies. Don't you dare say anything because we'll come for you. Really, it sounds like you've got an awful lot to protect. Odd. So FBI has substantiated irregularities in Georgia's 2020 vote counts, probing if they were intentional. It pisses me off that we have to dance on the perimeter of this and be like, I wonder what could have possibly happened. Because I know what could have possibly happened. There's no way 81 million people would ever in a million years vote for Joe Biden. There's no way 81 million people this year, next year, and the year after that, if you combine them all who thought Joe Biden would have been a great president, there's no way you'd get 81 million people. And now the FBI has substantiated some major irregularities in how the votes were counted in Georgia's largest urban area in the aftermath of the 2020 election. Shocker. Is this why the FBI raided the warehouse? Bing, 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 bing. Is this why of the 700 boxes of ballots they should have received, they only got 656 boxes? Bing, 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 bing. Is there a reason the national news is all about Nancy Guthrie? Bing, 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 bing. FBI Special Agent Hugh Raymond Evans is the guy who signed this affidavit. He signed it last month to establish probable cause for the raid that seized those boxes of Georgia 2020 election ballots from a storage warehouse in the Atlanta area, okay? The affidavit included information gleaned from FBI interviews with about a dozen unnamed witnesses, recounting various allegations that dated back to the disputed 2020 election in Georgia, in which Joe Biden was narrowly declared the winner over Donald Trump. Remember the number? 11,779. Some of the allegations have been disproven, while some of these allegations have been substantiated, Evans wrote. This warrant application is part of an FBI criminal investigation into whether any of the improprieties were intentional acts that violated federal criminal laws. Look, tampering with machines, that's an offense. Feeding in pristine, never folded, quote unquote, mailed in ballots after shutting down the vote and sending home all the poll watchers. That is a federal crime, right? We know this. Let's talk about some of the things, 5 major areas of again, we're dancing, irregularities. Folks, if I was in charge, I'd be like, look, These clowns stole it, and then they tried to cover it up, and they hired a bunch of DEI boobs to run interference who clearly are all part of it. Fulton County has admitted it doesn't have scanned images of all of the 528,777 ballots counted during the original count. That's that day. Or the 527,000 ballots counted during the state's first recount, which was a major loss of evidence. How do you lose a couple thousand ballots in there? Where did they go? Well, you know, that matters when it's 11,779 ballots or votes that allegedly Joe Biden won by. John Solomon breaks it down yesterday. The discrepancies are rather significant, he says, and Fulton County could not duplicate its vote count. Look, if we're going to have an election and everybody's going to go and they're going to come and they're going to vote, and you're going to go through the vote and you're going to put up a result, and that result is going to give Joe Biden the win. You better be able to duplicate that. They couldn't duplicate it once. They couldn't duplicate it twice. They couldn't do it because the information has vanished. Here's John Solomon breaking it down.
We're finding out that the recounts in the efforts to count ballots accurately in Georgia were substantially flawed. What the FBI said in an affidavit that was unsealed by a federal judge about 45 minutes ago is that the FBI has substantiated about 5 irregularities in the vote counting in Fulton County, Atlanta, the major hub, the major urban area of Georgia. This kind of puts a shine on Brad Raffensperger's claim that everything was fine. It wasn't. The Fulton County couldn't get vote counts to match. There are concerns that they might have faked or altered numbers. There is the FBI declares in an affidavit they have confirmed in Fulton County, or the state of Georgia have confirmed that in some cases during the recounts, ballots were double counted, double scanned and double counted, that numbers didn't match up, and then they suddenly just magically matched up with no additional work, that there were other, and that some ballot images have been lost, and that about 315,000 ballots which were certified were not properly certified through Georgia law. Now, why is that important? It's much like the way the FBI and the IRS ultimately got Al Capone. They didn't get him by charging him as being a mobster. They got him by not following other things like tax law. Here, it is a federal felony to fake or fraudulently put out vote counts that don't match or are inaccurate or that don't follow your state's law. You're trusted as an election official in Fulton County. You have to follow the law. It looks like the FBI has some pretty substantial proof that the law wasn't followed. What the FBI agent says in this bombshell affidavit is, if we find any intentionality to this, that they did anything, like they were embarrassed, they didn't want to admit that they couldn't get their votes to match, they could be federally charged with felonies 5 years later. That is a big deal. It explains why they raided that warehouse. And I'd keep an eye on Arizona. I think a similar issue is brewing there now.
Similar issue happening in Maricopa County, Arizona, another one brewing in Michigan, and something also brewing in Pennsylvania, Allegheny County. Lots of discrepancies. Look, anybody out there who thinks that 2020 was perfect is an idiot, and they're lying to you. There's a reason that Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, who were ensnarled in allegations of what? At the State Farm Arena there on election night, where all of a sudden things started changing with the vote count. There's a reason why Joe Biden, as president, gave them the Presidential Medal of whatever, right? It was a big thing. Thank you. That was the payoff. Thank you very much, Ruby and Shay, for helping oversee the greatest theft of an election in American history. Of the things that they found, the FBI has found so far. Only 16 tabulators out of an expected much larger number were used to generate closing data for about 315,000 ballots across 138 provided poll tapes. This extreme concentration improperly funneled through a small set of machines, breaking chain of custody rules and making it easier to alter election results. Why would that be? Because they needed a hell of a lot of ballots because nobody was voting for Joe Biden. Number two, what else did they find? A review of the machine logs indicated that memory cards were likely removed from their original tabulators and inserted into different ones to produce or recreate closing poll tapes. Remember when poll watchers watched and got video of somebody's hand going to the side of one of these machines and taking out a thumb drive and going and delivering it to somebody in the back of the room? And we were told that's nothing. Shh, that's conspiracy theory stuff. Stop it. Well, why would memory cards be removed from their original tabulators and inserted into other machines? I don't know, maybe to manipulate the vote. Yeah. How about number 3? Many closing poll tapes, which are essential documents that verify end-of-day vote totals from each of the polling sites, were entirely missing from the records provided. Like, without those, there's no way to confirm that votes weren't added or removed or changed post-election. That's fraud. How about number 4? It was discovered that the tabulator's data appeared to cover ballots from several different polling sites, which shouldn't happen under normal procedures, which suggests what? Intentional mixing of data streams, which leads to duplicate votes, misplaced ballots, or hidden errors across precincts. Guys, tabulators showed mismatched or all sorts of different timestamps in their logs, such as dates and times that didn't align with actual election events. It could indicate backdating, editing, or unauthorized access after the polls close. Didn't they arrest and throw in prison for 9 years Tina Peters, who worked in the Mesa County clerk's office? And didn't she take an unvetted guy into the space to make a download a copy of a Dominion voting machine, which apparently showed a lot of issues in Colorado, and they threw her to the wolves? That's a federal offense. Manipulating voting machines, that's a federal offense. You go to prison, Tina Peters. But Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, mother-daughter duo, who helped oversee the all-night long moving through the machines, those pristine, never-folded ballots, so that when it was time to start counting again, Joe Biden had the lead. Now, other than that, 11,779 votes. Do you guys feel confident that the state of Georgia actually voted for Joe Biden? Because I don't. And Donald Trump didn't think so. Which is why he called Brad Raffensperger. And they indicted him over that. But we should totally be talking about Nancy Guthrie. I'm sorry. You're right. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, it's preposterous. Donald Trump's reported 2006 phone call to Palm Beach police. Did you hear about this? Yeah, this is when the left's narrative about Trump and Epstein went. I've got it for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's not sexy, you guys. It's a lot sexier to be like, let's go live to the scene to Arizona. Bob, what do you know? Well, nothing. Nothing. But.
Wait.
Yeah.
Fox News alert.
But we're going to throw in some bells and whistles. Bah, 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 right? Oh, I'm going to tell you what. Let's take a look at that footage again. Sheila? Thanks, Bob.
Uh-oh, someone else threw money in.
What? What are you guys doing? I know. I'm hot again. I'm sorry.
Froggy, $50. May I petition for WBR weekly game to win WBR merchandise? 5 clues per week to get. Okay. Let me put this to you.
I love how much you guys want.
Nice about this. There's a reason radio stations have a whole separate division for promotions. There are all kind of restrictions, and I'm not saying you guys, but people bitch. And there's no way around it. There's just not. Someone else had mentioned, why don't we pre-order? Because we tried that. And we didn't like making you guys wait, right? And you guys are gracious and you're like, I understand. But eventually we start getting emails. When are they going to come in? When it's just, it really is. I hate to say this. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it becomes
It really is. I appreciate you guys that are willing to wait, but I'd rather run out and reorder than make you wait.
I agree.
And it screws up the system. Like, there's just a lot to it. It's just not easy to say, I'll pick a name. Because when you have 300-400 people going, me, it's
a lot.
It's a lot.
So,
sound like I'm bitching.
Froggy sends me a message. Thank you so much for the heads up on Texas Bullion Exchange. I've bought a lot of silver and made money. Thank you to WBR and your sponsors. Froggy, that's so nice. Wendy loves gold. WendyLovesGold.com. That's how you land on Texas Bullion Exchange's website. And it's so informative. They really do teach you so much about precious metals, about the gold standard, about why the paper dollar is so, it seems it's lost so much value, and it has, right? But why hasn't gold? Why hasn't silver? Why do the prices keep going up and up and up? This is a really smart investment strategy. If you don't have any gold, silver, platinum, palladium, these precious metals in your portfolio, in your view of retirement, think about it. 855-927-5557. Those are our friends at Texas Bullion Exchange, WendyLovesGold.com. 855-927-5557. That is their phone number. That is our direct line to them. And so if you need information, if you want that conversation, and that's how I would do it. I can't do it by email. It just doesn't make sense. That's how you get in touch with them. And they're delighted to take your call. Ask about their principal protection program. Ask about it. Be like, Wendy told me about the principal protection program. What's that? It's a guarantee that locks in your investment so you'll never lose money. That's a huge risk for an outfit like Texas Bullion Exchange. But they're that confident in your investment with them that they guarantee you will not lose. WendyLovesGold.com. I love them. Wow, all sorts of stuff going on here, guys, but it is what it is. All right. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. I don't know really what the left is going to keep talking about with this affordability thing blowing up in their face. All of these economic indicators are just through the roof. Jobs, inflation down, jobs up, optimism up, mortgage rates, credit card rates, all of this stuff, right? And if honestly what the president says is his hope, is his vision, he hopes to bring in enough tariff revenue so that your income taxes no longer exist, that they will be external revenue service ideas, that foreign countries will pay your taxes. That's the whole idea. And everybody on the left is laughing at him. Oh, what a joke. Oh, what a clown. And it's like, okay, what do you want? A bunch of stuffed suits in Congress who do nothing but make problems for us, make rules and regulations and steal from us? Or do you trust the business guy who shows you every single day through his brand, the Trump name, that he knows what he's doing? Well, he reportedly, this is one of the things that is going to blow up. They can't beat the Epstein connection horse anymore. It's over because President Trump reportedly called police about disgusting Epstein back in 2006 and called Ghislaine Maxwell evil. Now, this was making headlines yesterday. We didn't find it germane. I'm tired of talking about Epstein. It doesn't move anybody's needles. But I think this is important. Literally, Donald Trump was like an FBI informant, that he might have been the guy, he might have been the linchpin that began the unraveling of Jeffrey Epstein and his exposure as a pedophile and a human trafficker. That's huge. President Donald Trump, this is Breitbart, dismissed sex offender Jeffrey Epstein as disgusting and decried his procurer, Ghislaine Maxwell, as evil way back in 2006. A now retired cop informed FBI agents in 2019. The revelation is contained in a newly unsealed court document released Monday by the Department of Justice. Hey, Democrats forced it. They forced it. Release everything. Okay, well, part of those documents is this. CNBC reported that Trump personally called the then Palm Beach police chief, Michael Reiter, to tell him, quote, "Thank goodness you're stopping Epstein. Everyone knows he's been doing this," Reiter told the FBI in October 2019, according to the FBI document known as a 302. The document stated whistleblower Trump. Whistleblower Trump. Wait a minute. This completely flips this narrative on its head. It blows up at this narrative like this economic great news blows up the affordability narrative, right? Not only was Trump not doing things with girls at Epstein's island or on his plane, he was the guy who blew the whistle on him. I think this is phenomenal. It says documents stated whistleblower Trump was one of the very first people to call the police when words spread that Epstein was under investigation, right? The simple fact defies the president's opponents who have since spread lies and falsehoods about his relationship with Epstein and convicted associate Maxwell. Well, Caroline Leavitt was asked about this yesterday, and she's like, look, so Trump wasn't friends with Epstein. He's the guy who blew the whistle on Epstein. This is an absolute narrative crasher. Here she is talking to the media.
What I will say is that the president has always remained consistent and that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club at Mar-a-Lago because, frankly, Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. And unlike many other people who are named in these files, President Trump cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and was honest and transparent about that for years and years. And so I think what the president has said all along has always remained true. And the release of more than 3 million documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous, disgusting crimes just shows the level of transparency that this president and administration has committed to in bringing these files to light.
Literally, tell me one thing that the president has said that hasn't panned out to be true. Is he a great exaggerator? Sure. Is it the best ever always? No. Does he like the superlative in that regard, particularly when it has to do with success of his administration, success, and this idea of making America great again? Yes. But substantially, has he ever been caught telling you something that is inaccurate? He told you. He told us. I knew he was a creep. I banned him from the club. And now we know he said in a call that he distanced himself from Epstein, according to this document, the 302, claiming he got the hell out of there when Epstein, when Epstein was around. Or excuse me, that was something that they were talking about with regards to Howard Lutnick. Trump has told you, I didn't do anything with anybody. I wasn't there. It's not my jam. Stop it. He told you in not so easy ways. She's not my type when they tried to float E. Jean Carroll as a rape victim. Trump tells you, he's like, that's ridiculous. Look at my wife. Look at my first wife. Do you think look at Marla Maples. They're bombshells. E. Jean Carroll? Really? And so now we're seeing a whole different Trump the whistleblower. That destroys everything the left needed everybody to believe. Donald Trump was on that island. No, Donald Trump was the one who blew it up. Oh, God, I hate when that happens. When we come back, hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio programs, we're just simple people, Americans are. We just want elections we can believe in. Not only American citizens can vote in. So why are so many illegals getting found registering? Uh-oh, next. Oh, no, it wasn't about Lutnick. It was about Trump. He said Trump said in the call to this Palm Beach police chief, that he distanced himself from Epstein, that he claimed he got the hell out of there when Epstein was around with teenagers. The outlet notes writer's name is redacted from the 302, but the document identifies the interview subject as the person who'd been Palm Beach police chief at the time, right? Who was him? And Ryder told the Miami Herald, which first reported the document, Trump called him in 2006 after the police department's probe of Epstein became publicly known. Trump told Ryder he had thrown Epstein out of his club Mar-a-Lago, which is located in Palm Beach. He's told us this. How many times? How many times? And now can we put the Epstein thing to bed with regards to the president? Hopefully. Hopefully. Just remember, 11,779. Because they're not talking about that today. Joe Biden didn't win. They know he didn't win. They know you know he didn't win, and we're all supposed to pretend.
And that's the thing.
We're all supposed to pretend.
It's not that I know, and it's not that you know. It's that we know you know we know.
Mm-hmm.
That's what scares, and that's just not with the votes. That's with people in general. When they know that you know, that's what scares them.
So here's some sobering news at 55. This is something that Joe and I have said. So he sees when he's got office days, and Friday is a big office day. He'll see 25 patients, which is, think about that. It's a lot of people. And so he sees people and he sees how they age and how they're doing. And he says to me, you know, most people stay together until about 55, like their face, their physical, everything kind of stays together until they're 55. He's like, something happens at 55 where after that, everything falls to hell in a handbasket. And I'm like, goody, because I'm 55. And then I get this from Healthy Cell.
56.
Wow. And it says this, after 55, this is what Healthy Cell told me. This was the whole gist of creating supplements that you don't take in a pill form, that you take as a microgel, like almost a yogurt, almost like a Jell-O. That's the consistency of it. Why do they do that? Because your body absorbs it better, 165% more absorbed than taking a pill or a capsule. Then my friend at Healthy Cell sends me this. She goes, after 55, your body just can't absorb nutrients like pills the way it used to. Weaker stomach acid, slower blood flow, bang, 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 right? And a thinner gut lining mean most of those pill multivitamins, they pass right through you and end up in the toilet. I didn't know that. Your body's not processing it. And that's what makes Healthy Cell so interesting. When your body can't absorb these nutrients, you start to feel it. Don't blame age, blame absorption. Low B12, vitamin D, calcium, and magnesium can quietly drain your body of energy and focus. That's why at 55 and beyond, we're like, ugh. It's not because we're just old. It's that certain things are happening inside of our body that we don't have control of. But you do. Because not just Blood Flow 7, but you have healthycell.com. And these are the supplements that can revive you, and they get into your system and you feel it. I feel focus and recall when I take that packet. Now, of course, I need Brock's phone to ding and remind me at 11:15 that I have to take it, but this is it. This is it. This is my game changer. And it's not complicated. healthycell.com/Wendy. Go read about it. Look at the formulations. Try one. This super immune super boost right now, who wouldn't want that? And for your first order, you'll get a discount. healthycell.com/Wendy. I think they're great. Oh my!
Just got a Fox News alert.
Oh my God, you scared me.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The FBI is conducting extensive search along roadways.
Oh. Okay. Didn't you already do that? Like,
listen,
really,
I don't want anyone to lose their job, but the guy who's in charge of putting out the Fox News alerts
needs to be fired. Stop it. If everything's an alert, nothing's an alert. If everything's racist, nothing is racist. We know the argument, right?
That's the fourth Fox News alert I got this hour.
Can I tell you, by the way, like, so much was already fiddled with when Nancy Guthrie's family showed up at her house and started looking for her, right? Mm-hmm. They touched things unknowingly, right? You touch the doorknob, you touch the doorbell, you touch things in the house. Unless everything is closed off and nobody's allowed to muddy it, All the evidence is already fiddled with. Do we really need to go over every single? That's why that guy's like, there's a caterpillar on the doorbell and he's got a spot. It's that preposterous. I agree.
You're asking me to, in 10 days, believe that I don't need to be an FBI agent to know all these things always end up the same way.
It's
it was a
somebody
family
close
member.
to them.
It was a family
It was the
friend.
dog that didn't bark. It was whatever. Yes.
And you're just like, and now you're trying to tell me it's some goofball who's an Uber FedEx driver wearing a ski mask. I just, you know what? I'm going to sit back and wait. And you'll eventually never tell me because
it'll prove that you're an idiot. Not you, but the people who've been covering it breathlessly for 11 days. Like, why are we just seeing the Ring doorbell video?
This is me complaining about the media too.
Because we could have seen the suspect 11 days ago.
So I click on Fox when I get home. I just do, right? I let the dog out. It's in the background. Martha McCallum at 3:47 talking about it with her friend who knew her. Whatever.
With Nancy Guthrie's friend?
Yeah. And then Will Kane comes on. I hear, before I see him, Fox News alert. He's
Breaking
like,
news
we're
alert.
still talking to, literally talk to the same reporter she did.
There's nothing different
10
about what
minutes
we're
ago.
doing, except there's a transition from shows. And so we have to make it sound as though like this is really, this just in.
So what did I do? Turned off Will Kane. I can't even remember what I was watching after that. So I tuned back in at,
You just go back and watch the show so you can stare at me more.
Yeah. I tuned back in at like 5 minutes to 5. They're still talking about it.
Brock,
And at 5 o'clock, I'm like, you've got to be effing
that's when you're
kidding
like,
me. Yeah.
no.
Then I turn
Now
on
you're
news
making
now.
me not care. Now you're making me angry.
Oh, good. Good.
No, it's not good.
Beep, 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 beep.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. You know, I don't want to make a game of it, but Brock, if you wouldn't mind hopping on Fox News and telling me what they're covering right now, because I'm going to.
I don't have to. I just got my 4th Fox News alert in the last hour.
Bing, 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 bing.
Nancy Guthrie.
Yes. Is she still missing?
Yes.
She's still missing.
Well, here's the breaking news.
Okay.
They're now looking at the roadways.
It's been 11 days.
Back to you, Bob.
Okay, Sheila, thank you. I mean, like, honestly, it's now, we've now crossed over into another dimension, right? And people they're gobbling it up. They're like, I can't get enough of this. I'm like, why? You're learning nothing. They're not telling you anything. It's a bunch of people who wear too much makeup and fake eyelashes that never looked real, right? When your eyelashes look like some kind of an insect died on your eyelid, it's not natural. Telling us, you know what? I'm wondering, look at the backpack. Is that a reflective piece? That sounds like that looks like it's a very interesting backpack. You've got nothing, okay? Just admit to everybody who's paying attention. Guys, I'm sorry, but we long ago forgot how to do this job. Okay, let's talk about other things, because lo and behold, there are other things to talk about beyond 11,779 votes that clearly, right? We're told Joe Biden won by in Georgia. when you've got 315 ballots that can't be substantiated, do you think 11,779 makes sense? Of course not. All right, so let's bounce on over to Minnesota because we've been kicking around Georgia for a while. As I say, we're simple people, right? I think the majority, 90, 85% of us, we're pretty simple people. We don't need a whole lot, right? There's some fringe wackos out there who piss everybody off. But by and large, the majority of us are normal people who don't need a whole lot. We want to believe, though, that when we go to vote, that our vote is counted, that somebody else hasn't stolen that vote, and that there's somebody not behind the scenes who's tweaking it, manipulating it, and screwing us over. But we have no confidence in that. At least I don't. And what happened in Minnesota seems to belie this issue that there's a lot of problems in 2020. So when we look at Minneapolis, where all of this hoopla has been going on with protesting, we're not going to talk about necessarily the protesting and about the welfare fraud and all the simoleons and whatnot. Let's just talk about what happened in Minnesota in 2020. Because when the Department of Justice reaches out to you as a Secretary of State, as was reached out to Steve Simon, they were like, hey, Secretary of State of Minnesota, Steve, hey, we need the voter roll data for your state so we can make sure everything's clean and we can move forward. And he was like, no, there's way too much sensitive information in there. I couldn't possibly share it with you. Okay, well, TikTok already has it, so nice try. I think the federal government can be trusted with it. But he said no. And so there's a woman who is a state lawmaker in Minnesota, and her name is Pam Altendorf. And Pam also happens to be the vice chair of Minnesota's Elections Committee. And so when he refused to give the information as Secretary of State to the Department of Justice, she was like, you know what? Let's see if I can get some of these voter roll data sets from some of these counties. So she reached out to 4 counties in Minnesota and said, hey, I'm the vice chair of the Elections Committee, and we're trying to clean up the voter rolls and make sure everything's on the up and up. Would you please send me your information so we can make sure we're all on the same page? Well, 3 counties gave her sparse information, but 1 county gave her an awful lot of information. Liz Collin is on this. Real journalist, real independent reporter. And she has this representative, her name again, Pam Altendorf, on her show. And she says, welcome, Pam. I'm so glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about what got you interested in reaching out to these 4 counties. Here you go.
There's been this ongoing battle over access to Minnesota's voter rolls. You know it well. The federal government now suing after Secretary of State Steve Simon has declined to provide the data unless a court orders it. But with all this in mind, as a Minnesota state legislator who, again, sits on the House Elections Committee, you requested, I know, voter data from 4 Minnesota counties. Seemed like a simple request a couple of months ago, but explain then what happened next.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Yeah, this came to fruition after they denied the request from the DOJ. And in my position of being the vice chair of the Elections Committee, we feel by state statute that I had access to that information and wanted to just try it out. We tried 4 different counties to see if we could obtain that information. So I did do data requests to 4 counties.
Now, that seems like that would be in the purview of the vice chair of the Minnesota State Elections Committee. Wouldn't you agree? That as that woman, Representative Altendorf, had every reason to request that data. And then the Secretary of State of Minnesota, Steve Simon, caught wind of the request and he dropped the hammer. Here's audio soundbite 2.
So I guess despite these roadblocks, you ultimately obtained voter registration data in Hennepin County. Just to be clear, you've only shared your analysis, not the actual data with us ahead of this interview. But even just your high-level analysis here, there is a lot to look at. Your analysis is based on about 830,000 records from Hennepin County, which accounts for 20% of all of voters in Minnesota. What stood out to you the most?
One Minneapolis precinct, it's P6 of Ward 2. There was so many challenged voters that it equates to 21.6% of the voters just in this one precinct are challenged. So, and that is significantly higher than the state average or in any other precinct that we're seeing. I mean, I think people can see that that would be a real problem to have that many being challenged.
So let me just backdate this or go back a little bit. So Secretary of State Steve Simon catches wind that Pam Altendorf, as the vice chair of the Elections Committee, is sniffing around these 4 counties. He tells the 4 counties, do not comply. Do not respond to her. Curious. That seems like you're hiding something, Steve. Whatever would it be? 3 counties give her a few things. Hennepin County, for whatever reason, gives her the whole kit and caboodle. And in that data dump, she finds in her review that this ward number 2 in Minneapolis, where this woman named Robin Wansley wins by literally 13 votes. Wins by 13 votes. 1 in every 5 voters who tried to vote was challenged by the election workers, meaning they didn't have the information they needed or the data to prove who they were, what they were doing, and they were snagged. 1 in every 5 voters in that ward was flagged in a race for city council, Minneapolis City Council. And you know who Robin Wansley is? She is a Black woman who's also a Democrat socialist. Her win, allegedly 13 votes by the hair of her chinny chin chin, made her the first Democrat socialist to win a seat from that ward. And it was highly contentious. It was recounted and recounted again. The numbers never matched. Sort of like what? Oh, that's right. Fulton County, Georgia. Liz Collin comes back in and she says, wait a minute, you found more than that. You found some voters whose data just doesn't add up. Really?
So again, this is 21% of the votes in the precincts represented by Robin Wansley that were challenged. And according to your analysis, 50 times higher than the average in other precincts. Those votes are challenged far beyond the norm for the rest of the state. And also explain, it sounds like some voters with unusual information that you were able to see for yourself on the rolls.
Yeah, and this just comes right off after just this last week, Steve Simon, was quoted as saying that, Minnesota elections are fair, accurate, that we can he gave us that little talk that we can count on them. In this data that we're seeing, and again, this is just one county in Minnesota. In Hennepin County, we had 2,992 voters that have missing information. So by state and federal law, information that has to be provided, important things like names, addresses, birth dates, those kind of things that are missing from not just a couple, not just a handful, but thousands of voters.
Thousands of voters. Now, this is where the argument normally comes in. Oh, but even if that's true and those thousands of people weren't actually supposed to be voting, right? I mean, Joe Biden, he won by 215,000 votes. So it really doesn't matter. No, see, it all matters. All of it matters. Every vote, every illegal, every dead person, every person who registered to vote at a UPS store, everything matters. And when a Secretary of State comes out and flaps his arms and tells you, we had the best election ever, there was nothing to see here, and then puts the kibosh on counties cooperating with you and sharing data, what are you supposed to think? That every single freaking county in every state in this glorious country needs to be reviewed. Oh, wait a minute. That's sort of like what the Department of Justice is trying to do. But 20 blue states are refusing to share their data. Why? Because they're cheating. But I'm sure they're coming close to finding Nancy Guthrie. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, right? Let's talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. Thousands of illegals registered to vote in Alabama. Shut up. It's happening there, too. Yeah, next. Like the backstory of who this Robin Wansley is, like if you were just listening to Liz Collin interview this state representative who's like, I just thought I could maybe make some headway. Maybe we could put it to bed once and for all. Is there a problem or isn't there a problem? So why would the Secretary of State try to put the hammer on me and kibosh me from getting that data? And Hennepin County, which is the biggest county in Minnesota, apparently is the one that gave her the most data, 830,000 records or whatever, 803 or 30,000 voters there. And she zeroes in on this one word where just nothing adds up. And what do you get at the end of it? Some black woman who's a socialist. I wonder in Allegheny County, did we really elect Sarah Innamorato as our new county executive? She's a freaking socialist. She ran on raising property taxes, wanted to raise them 50%.
Yeah, who votes for that?
Who in their mind effing votes for that? So you have to wonder, did we? Because I'm not so sure they did in Ward number 2 there in Minneapolis. But then again,
you're conspiracy.
I am
theories.
a MAGA extremist.
Yes.
Right. All right, let me tell you guys about who do we want to talk about. Let me tell. Thank God I have one more because again, I'm down to the wire here. I'm down to the wire of my healthy fat from Dr. Gundry. If you drink water, you should be drinking water with a scoop of thehealthyfat.com/Wendy in it. Why? Because it's chock full of a bunch of things that you need. And, oh yeah, it's a dietary supplement that destroys your appetite, fills you up, and it's delicious. That's the thing. That's the thing. I don't need to tell you anything else. Dr. Gundry lost 70 pounds drinking it. Was that all he did? Probably no. I bet you if you're drinking something and you're cognizant that you're a little fatty boba-laddie, that you probably want to change what you eat. So maybe you cut out the Pringles and the beer late at night and you start eating more fish and steak. Okay.
Salad and a sit-up.
All right. A sit-up and a salad works for everybody, but you also started drinking this. 70 pounds. And they even say, look, this is not for somebody who just wants to lose 5 pounds. You want to lose significant weight, put a scoop of this in your water and do it consistently and pay attention to what happens to you. Our friend Heather lost 15 pounds in 2 belt loops, and she wasn't even necessarily trying. She's like, it just happened. I'm like, isn't that amazing? Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Watch the video. Don't be dissuaded by the video because the video teaches you so much. And there's a promo code in there for you.
I'm going to say something that might, and Wendy and I talked about this before the show because I don't think it's coming up, but with what's coming up at 1:30, it sort of fits. Maybe we weren't with the Epstein stuff. Everybody talks about Epstein. Maybe Epstein wasn't necessary about us getting the names, but finding out
how gross people are,
how gross this world is. Yeah. What did we learn? And it came right after COVID. We learned COVID. They lied to us. They sicken us. And then with Epstein, it's not so much the names. I never knew the world was that
diabolical,
gross. Like who looks at kids like that?
You don't think there's actually a Dr. Frankenstein who's like, and then you're like, holy
you hear
cow.
Pizzagate and you're like, what? Okay, maybe
see, and I thought Pizzagate was just about something as disgusting as sexually fiddling with children. But it's more than that. This should not be a political thing. There are some things that just should not be political, that everything has become so hyper political. So I'm at the gym today, right? And I work out at my neighbor's, and she's the personal trainer. She's 64. She's badass. And she's got a woman who comes in after I leave. Now, she had to switch my days this week. So the woman who's coming in on these days, Monday, Wednesday, is somebody I usually don't see. She's a former neighbor of mine. She's uber liberal. This neighbor of mine, former neighbor of mine, she since moved to another neighborhood, had her daughter die of a drug overdose in their house. And I have thought about this woman, and I don't know her, a million times. I just have. She hates me because she's liberal and I'm conservative. Okay. I don't understand that. I think that's a shame. I don't need to sit there and make nice with you. You don't have to pretend. But I legitimately care. Care enough to not say anything and to make her uncomfortable. So I'm stretching on the floor today with a band, and she walks in and sees me. I can tell she sees me because she quickly, like lightning, takes off her coat, throws it up on the hook, and races into a back part of the basement to get on the treadmill and not see me. It's a grown woman. She's a very bright woman. She's a very strong attorney. Cannot stand me. Literally, viscerally has to escape me like I'm the plague, okay? When we get into that kind of crazy, that's not just that's not political disagreement. That's a mental issue. And I feel for people like that, right? But when it comes to our elections, when it comes to who's voting, when it comes to our citizenry, politics shouldn't play a role, because as Americans, we should be united, not on the fringe, united in the middle. It needs to be fixed. Listen to this report out of what? Is this Alabama? Listen to this.
3,000 registered voters in Alabama just got booted from the state voter rolls. That's after the Secretary of State, Wes Allen, ordered the removal of all non-citizens who were registered. But how did non-citizens get registered in the first place? WAFF 48's Nick Ballinger spoke to the Secretary of State to get to the bottom of this story. Nick?
Yeah, Margot, when I asked Secretary Allen how these people got registered to vote in the first place, he couldn't give me a clear answer just yet, saying it was still being investigated. But when he gave me a breakdown of how many there were in each county, the numbers were glaring. This is a list from Secretary of State Wes Allen of how many non-citizens were registered to vote in our counties. The state found 3,251 people. 742 of them were from North Alabama.
We got the information. We cross-checked it against our centralized data file here in the state of Alabama and found those 3,200 individuals.
The information he's talking about are people with alien registration numbers. Those are issued to immigrants who intend to live in this country permanently and have already applied for a green card. However, you're not eligible to vote with just an alien identification number. When I asked Allen how 3,000 plus were able to register in the first place, he couldn't give me the answer.
But it's our belief that only American citizens should be allowed to vote. Non-citizens, whether they're legal or illegal immigrants, cannot register to vote. It's a federal offense.
That's not controversial. That's not political. That's not debatable. That's fact. It's like I want to say to this woman, look, I have nothing to do with why you're angry. Your daughter's death is heartbreaking. And it doesn't take political differences, shouldn't, for us to just be honest about things. Just be honest about things. Just tell the truth. That's all America wants. And my ex-neighbor just wants her daughter back. Look, I get she can hate me if she thinks that makes her feel better for that. But this is an American issue, regardless of politics. This is something we all need to get behind. 11,779. It's outrageous how they cheated. It's outrageous how they lied. It is outrageous the number of people who know and have kept that secret. But we're unraveling it. And I'm telling you what, there better be people in prison. There better be. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, You know, I know we're supposed to be talking about Nancy Guthrie or ICE or Trump as a Nazi or Jeffrey Epstein or something, but this conversation between comedians Bill Maher and Adam Carolla is far more interesting. Oh my, I'll explain why next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I guess it's easier to be angry than it is to grieve. Maybe. Maybe
that's
that's
part of the steps.
Yeah. I get it.
You shouldn't get mired in it and stuck in it, but it's
and somebody that you've never met,
well, that's
never spoken to, but you are, it's almost like I'm her kryptonite and she has to like speed away from me. It was unfortunate.
Can I Dr. Brock this?
I feel sorry. I feel sorry. I wish for her peace. I really do, because nobody should walk in.
Let me Dr. Brock this. It's easy to hate you because of your beliefs. But my theory is that there's jealousy involved. There's that jealousy if you have what she can't have anymore.
I'm sure.
And, it takes time to get to a point, and I'm going to be very personal here. It takes time to get to a point. I'm jealous of your kids in your relationship with your kids because it's and I've said this to you before. It's something, you see it, and it's something I never got. It's the mother who is now becoming more friends with Toolsy than it is the mother. The mother's still there to answer Toolsy's questions because she's been through life, but you're also there to be a friend just to listen when he talks, right? Like, so, like, there's a jealousy jealousy is a bad word, but there's a longing, I wish I had that. I wish I was able to get that. So I think a lot of people, when they look at that, they think you have the perfect life because they know theirs isn't. They don't know that yours isn't either, but
oh no, I'm totally perfect.
They're perceived.
No, I get it.
Hey,
Rush, I love you.
Dr. Brock.
Rush 143, $50. Wendy, my 3 sisters and I have nominated you as our honorary sister. Anyone who wants to disagree can suck it. Thank you. Isn't that sweet? Considering I don't think my sister likes me very much.
No.
2.43. Okay, come on. Now
I have
we got to
someone
crank
in
it
my
up.
family who doesn't like me very much either.
We got to crank it up. Look, I have another hour and a half. I really want to get to 3.5. Really want to get to 3.5. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Are you going?
No, go ahead. Go
You're
ahead.
going?
I don't have to absolutely go.
Go ahead.
Go. No, I don't have to absolutely go. She's literally running down the hall. No, can you imagine hating someone you don't even know? Like, we could sit here and say, I hate Jamie Raskin or any of these people. I don't know them. I don't know their life story. But if I'm coming into contact with someone on a semi-regular basis or not a frequent, but like I'll run into them, am I really going to hate you if I don't know you? That's the problem with the left. They give mind space to way too much crap that I get angry at myself when I let someone's opinion matter. I can't give it space, like it's not fair to me to give you space in my mind when I can't have a conversation and I can't rectify your problem, because your problem is exactly that, yours. That woman's problem isn't with Wendy. It's her own problem. But, I don't know. It's just, you can't argue with emotion because everybody's is different, and that's all the left fights with. They fight with this perceived do-goodery, as Wendy calls it, and the facts be damned. That halftime show was glorious, even though the lyrics were atrocious.
Oh my God, such a hot mess.
Oh, we see you didn't fix your hair while you were in the bathroom.
I did not. I did not.
I'll hold it.
Okay, well, you take one
for
the
half
team.
an hour.
You take one for the team. Okay.
Why don't you say something nice?
I will. Disinfectwithsniper.com.
Oh, I meant about me, but okay.
Disinfectwithsniper.com.
That's just
Disinfectwithsniper.com. I use it every day. Use it in my shower, use it in the bathroom, use it in the kitchen, use it in my car, use it on my hands. I use it on everything. I love it, and I love the smell after I use disinfectwithsniper.com. When was the last time you cleaned something and didn't gag while you were in the shower cleaning? Because it's all toxic chemicals. What if you could clean with the hospital-grade antibacterial, antifungal, all this stuff, the greatest cleaner you've ever had without being sick? Literally, it's so safe you could spray it on your face or in your mouth. That's crazy. That's Sniper. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Everything on the website. It's fantastic. Sniper's the best. I use it every day, like I said. There you go.
Someone says they want to hang out with you. Well, what about me? I'm the fun one. Gypped. I feel gypped.
Anywho.
Completely gypped.
You're so not. What are you talking about? Gypped. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
No,
Are you monitoring Fox News for me? Keep an eye on it.
Let me tell you, I don't need to.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I'm just going to give you this headline because some people are actually catching on to the 11,779. This is a headline out of Gateway Pundit right now. Georgia's voter GA election watchdog group says Fulton County has 17,852 votes, which have no ballots, and they're almost all for Biden. That is enough to flip the state to Trump. Oh, we're not going to try to relitigate the 2020 election. Oh, what are you trying to do? No, we can't go back in time. But you know what we can do is we can expose the offenders, the treasonous, traitorous scumbags. We can hang them up, public stoning, guillotine, whatever you want to do, pay-per-view. Let's make some money, pay down the debt. Who's with me, right? People are talking about it. They're going to have to because it can't be hidden anymore. Let's talk about Bill Maher. You know, I don't normally talk about Bill Maher, but we've played several of his clips on this program, and I've enjoyed Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla has conservative views. He is a comedian. He was on Bill Maher's show. Bill Maher just turned 70, right? Apparently, he's in some kind of a flap with Jimmy Kimmel and says that it's possible that this fight that they're in could very likely be the end of their relationship, that they never talk again. And he's very pained by it, Bill Maher is. So he invites Adam Carolla, fellow comedian, onto the show. Look, comedians, really good ones, are excruciatingly smart. If you've ever listened to George Carlin, one of the most interesting and intelligent individuals I've ever listened to, period. I might disagree with a lot that he says. That doesn't negate the fact that they have to be super knowledgeable and very bright. And he's got Adam Carolla on the show, and Bill Maher is literally, he's exposing himself in this conversation with Adam, that he has seen the light. That he sees the rigidity of the left. He sees that it's a club, and that if you're not 100% exactly in line with their thoughts, there can be no deviation. You are no longer welcome. And to Brock's point, I think it's probably accurate that when President Trump invited Bill Maher to the White House to have dinner with him, right, and he got ridiculed, Bill Maher did, ridiculed by the left. Why would you ever do that? And Bill Maher's like, what? The president of the United States invites me to supper and you think I'm going to say no? That might have been the moment. That might have been his moment. Like that Palm Sunday for me in 2020 when I started to see COVID clearly, right? That was his moment. I want you to listen to this exchange, though. In this first audio soundbite, Adam Carolla is talking about being on the right. You know, he doesn't come out and say he's a Republican. He doesn't come out and say he's a Trumper, but his views are common sense. And it's a very interesting exchange between these two friends. Why do we all need to be labeled all the time? Interesting point.
People say to me all the time, oh, you're, Republican and right-leaning. I go, listen, I don't own a gun. I'm not religious. at all. I'm for abortion and pot smoking and everything. How right can I be?
You've put your finger on the thing that makes me so incensed about the woke and the far left, which is this, that they want to characterize people, you, me, Barry Weiss, you know, who's a lesbian and Jewish, and things that used to be our, we need no further credentials to let you know that we are certainly not conservatives, we're not right-wingers, we're not whatever you think, and yet it's never enough for them. It's never enough that we're just not willing to go along with your insanity. That doesn't make us conservatives.
No, I agree. Barry's great, and there's many people that way.
You know, it's so interesting. They still see it as a scarlet letter, as like a tattoo on the forehead. Like, you don't want to tell anybody that you're conservative. Well, you know, conservatism, it works. It works. That's what you're seeing in this country works. That's what making America great again is. It's about those conservative values. I think it's hilarious that he's acknowledging right now that the left is so rigid and they put you into a camp. You're one or the other. It used to be enough to be gay. You'd be gay. Everybody would know you're a liberal, right? Or you're a Jew. So you're obviously this or that. Now all of a sudden things are muddied. People are thinking for themselves, breaking free from these labels. And he goes on and he's like, look, when I knew, Bill Maher says, the woke nonsense had gotten out of control. Listen.
The woke movement went over its skis, or whatever that saying is, and went too far with it. I mean, there were universities, like I think it was Michigan, who had 200 DEI officers. Okay, at a college, at the most liberal place in the universe, you need 200 I mean, this is just very Soviet, because, you know, what are DEI officers? They're basically political enforcers, certainly when you have that many. So did they go too far? But this is the story of America with everything these days. Did Biden go too far with letting people in? Of course, no rational person would argue that. And then no rational person would say, yeah, and what Trump did in response to it wasn't too far the other way, with what's going on in Minneapolis and all this stuff that even his own people hate now. And I just look at this and I always say to myself, doesn't anybody want to win this game, this political game? It's so easy for somebody to win this game, and you both just go to the extremes and lose.
Yeah, so here's what I basically say. When they try to force you into a Prius, X amount of people go, I'm getting a Dodge Ram truck and I'm putting a lift kit on it and some of those truck nuts hanging from the differential.
And rolling coal. You know what that is?
Yeah.
What?
So, wait, hold on 1 second. I just want to say that when they push you this way, they then, a large group goes that way, but another group splinters off and goes harder the other direction. Now LA, which used to have just Camrys and Honda Civics, has either electric cars or Dodge Ram trucks.
No, I'll go another level. They have either electric cars or Tesla. What are the big trucks called? Cybertrucks, those big cyber. It's one or the other. I mean, it's those giant monsters or even some of those big SUVs. Yeah, I understand his point. He's saying, look, does anybody want to win this game? But we do see this as winning. We see MAGA as the uniting thing. MAGA inherently should not be a Republican thing. Make America Great Again doesn't have a political bent to it because everybody is in that thing. We all benefit when America is made better, when America is made greater, when America is made safer or cleaner or smarter or what have you. It's not just my team that wins. I'm not just here for the GOP. I'm not just here to talk about great conservative stuff. I'm here for all of us. That is the winning, Bill. That is what MAGA is. And then he talks about conformity. And he talks about how he was forced to get the vaccine and didn't want it. Listen.
I mean, imagine if COVID came around and you just had to go in.
I did.
All in on all of it.
I did have to conform. I didn't want the vaccine at all. Not that I'm against all vaccines, just I didn't think I needed that one. But I had to have it. I couldn't have continued my life.
Right.
They wouldn't have let me do the show, and I had to do it here. I did it in this room.
Well, that's basically what I'm saying. Let's talk about the vaccine. The vaccine came around and COVID came around. And I have twins, and at the time, boy, girl, and they were like 14, you know? And
14?
There were 14 at the time of COVID. And I had, at the time, elderly parents. Right. And so people would come to me and they'd go, what about the vaccine? And I would go, well, my elderly mom and my elderly dad should get the vaccine.
Perfect.
And my kids shouldn't get the vaccine. And they go, so you're against vaccines? And it's like, can we have a little nuance here, you idiots?
That is such a perfect microcosm of reasonableness to me.
Right.
Like, yes, 14 and 94 are different.
Yes.
And if you don't see that, you are not the science people.
No, you're actually anti-science because my 14-year-olds don't need it at all because
Not at all.
They're healthy, thin, and active, and my elderly parents do. And so that's where I come down on this. Why is that an issue? I don't get why that's even a thing. Why would you even say anything about it?
No, it's like the perfect example to prove why we, you know, I say this like we should, like we're going to do anything I say we should, but we should come to the middle where there is always, to literally every problem that seems so intractable, there really is some pretty easy, if people would just stop being so extreme, middle ground, grand bargain. We used to have grand bargains in this country.
And I'm biased. I tell you I'm biased. I'm a conservative mom. Okay? I see the world through that lens. There's nothing extreme about my views. I don't see anything extreme or threatening at all. The left wants you to, they want to force you to do whatever they say is correct. The right wants you to decide. That's a huge difference, Bill. Forcing extremes, forcing conformity to stay in the club, or the other side that says, you do you. Okay? How about that? I don't see the big rub there. And finally, this is so interesting. This smacks of the insecurity of this Hollywood lifestyle. Bill Maher just strikes me as so insecure. He thanks Adam Carolla for supporting him when Knives came out in Maher's own journey, questioning everything, certainly precipitated by President Trump inviting him to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. Listen.
You probably defended me. You know, you have been, before I get too stoned to forget to mention this, you've been so supportive of our little enterprise here, and we appreciate it so much.
Well, you're telling
so
the
much.
truth, and you're
as
as
are you. I mean, it's just, but it's very appreciated because, you know, it's so hard to not be on one of the extremes.
Yes.
To not have a team. I mean, it just really sucks, and especially in this town where everyone's on one team, and it's not. I mean, as I always say to my woke friends, we voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
Right.
And they do not like that.
Right.
They are very exclusionary.
Yes.
You know, they really just don't want to breathe the same air if you're not exactly with the groupthink.
It's so wild to listen to and to watch him literally be shocked in his awakening of how rigid, exclusionary, and demanding the left is. Look, I'm sorry. I just don't see that both ways. And by the way, MAGA, making America great again, though coined by or created by us who created Donald Trump, everybody's welcome. If you want to make America great again, there's a seat for you at the table. That's called welcoming. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, we'll talk more about that. And then you've got to hear, I'm going to give an Emmy to somebody. It's a theatrical performance that's worthy of a statue, and you'll hear it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. there's so much more to say. Like, we could do a whole hour on just those 4 audio clips, because Adam Carolla is like looking at him as a more sage, reasonable, like he sees the game, right? He sees what's at stake and he sees where Bill is in his process. And he's like, you want to be part of the club still. You don't want to lose your membership in the club. And you realize that the club sucks. The club is very closed-minded. It's very clone troopery. It's very homing device rather activated. Everybody's like, right. We're all saying the same things. We all do the same things. We all fight the same way. And if we can't argue with you because it's all emotion-based, we'll say something rude to you and then stomp off and blame you for not being able to be, communicated with. It's typical. Everybody knows that. It's like Bill Maher's just saying this at 70. It's wild. It's wild. Everybody's on their journey at a different pace. I don't know. Simkovich Concussion Institute, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Dr. Simkovich heals people whose brains have been damaged. And I didn't know this, that when you're in an accident, say you're in a car accident, and you go like this and your brain hits inside of your head, in your skull, that, you get bruising. You can actually bruise your brain, but the damage goes far deeper than that. It can go all the way down into the cellular level. And you don't know. You feel weird. You've been hurt, but you don't know how to fix it. Dr. Simkovich does. That's it. He knows. He's got the keys. He's got the roadmap. He knows how much gas you need to get there, and he takes you there. And he delivers you your life back. 412-366-3700. Call. No matter where you live. Call. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I could go for a steak. I was dreaming of steak. Ireland Contracting too, you guys. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. IrelandContracting.com. There's horror stories all the time. I have never once, in my years living in Pittsburgh, which is going on 30, and the 5 years that the Irelands have advertised with us, more than that, I have never once gotten a bad testimonial or heard a bad word about Ireland Contracting, whether it be the business, the people who run the business, or the people who work in the field and do the jobs on the houses. I'm just saying, never, ever have I gotten somebody who was like, Wendy, I hate to tell you this, but I had Tom from Ireland Contracting over and he was awful. Never. It's always stellar. Home exterior renovation experts. Outside of your house, you need something on the outside of your house. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. You need an electrician. Dan will do it. Dan will come in. Dan Ireland. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com.
I thought you were inviting them over for steak so you could get them to look at your gutter and your lights at the same time and make it seem like, oh, why isn't this working?
More Brussels sprouts?
Yeah.
And you would like to make a potato with that, loaded?
Oh, well, if you serve Brussels sprouts with steak, I'd be upset. I'd be like, oh, asparagus.
How do you not have Brussels sprouts?
Asparagus. Nothing goes better with a steak than a potato and asparagus with some mushrooms and onion.
You call them onions, don't you? You do. You're not an onion. You're an onion. There's a difference. What are you, folks? Are you an onion or are you an onion? How do you say it?
Are you a grammar Nazi or not?
That's not grammar. I'm just calling you out for
Enunciation Nazi?
For sounding like you're from Zelienople. That's all.
No, well, guess what?
I say onion.
I am.
You are. I know. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So there's a guy in Congress. He's from Massachusetts. And he strikes me as a blowhard from Blowhardia, especially when he says dumb stuff like this. So he's a Massachusetts congressman named Jim McGovern, right? We put the SAVE Act on the back burner because it seems like Thune, McConnell, Murkowski, and what's-her-face Collins aren't going to move on it. They're not going to sponsor it. They're not going to vote for it. Isn't that curious? Doesn't that strike you as so illustrative of the deep state, right? You've got the former Senate Majority Leader in Mitch McConnell. and the present Senate Majority Leader in John Thune, both of whom are not at all about voting along with the majority. They're about doing whatever is best for the deep state, which would be to allow indiscriminate, willy-nilly people who don't belong here, who came across the border under the auto pen, to not just register to vote, but to vote, and to cash in on all of the benefits that you and I pay for. Well, I say to that as respectfully as possible, suck it. But I want you to hear Jim McGovern in Congress yesterday talking about how the SAVE Act, requiring photo ID, proof of citizenship to register, and photo identification to cast your vote. He says, you know what? I'm going to give him an Emmy right now in the category gaslighting at an official hearing. Here you go.
I'm reading the bill. This is the Save America Act. I have news for my Republican friends. Americans don't want to be saved by you. They don't want you screwing up the next elections. They don't want you to make it more difficult for them to participate in the next election. And they certainly do not want to have states' voting rolls turned over to Kristi Noem, who right now is overseeing a government agency that is killing innocent Americans in our streets.
Many things could have squeezed in there, right? That the Republicans are screwing up our elections. I'll remind you of the number 11,779. Jim. Also, he says, well, who wants Kristi Noem in charge? Well, I do. I think she's doing a damn good job, right? And I'm not alone. Now, number 2 here, buckle up, because here it comes. Election fraud, according to Jim McGovern. It's not a problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a problem at all in any state. Interesting.
So let me just start off this hearing by stating some facts. There is no widespread voter fraud in the United States of America. It is simply not true to say that voter fraud or non-citizens voting is a massive widespread issue. That is not to say that that our system is perfect. We face issues when it comes to cyber attacks, foreign disinformation, intimidation, and violence against election workers. Those are all important issues that we should be addressing today, but we are not. We are not. Instead, we're considering a bill that is fundamentally predicated on a lie.
Not a lie. We just heard from that news station in Alabama. They were like, hey, we just found 3,200 people registered to vote. And guess how many of them already have voted? And then the argument to that is, oh, but it's not a lot. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Really, Mr. McGovern? And he goes this. He has a data. He's going to drop some data on you, disproving any fraud. He's like, these are myths concocted by Republicans. Really?
There is extensive documentary evidence that voter fraud, voter impersonation, and non-citizens voting is not a widespread issue. It is a myth perpetrated by people whose real goal is to suppress the rights of American citizens, citizens who are legally and constitutionally entitled to cast their ballot, and to prevent American citizens from participating in our elections. Republicans are pushing the Save America Act because they want fewer Americans to vote. It's that simple. Republicans have looked high and low to find fraud. And you know what they've found? Someone is more likely to get struck by lightning than to vote illegally.
Ow. They've searched high and low to find fraud. Well, actually, I'd have to disagree 100% with that statement, because I don't think Republicans have been searching high and low. It took a 23-year-old YouTuber named Nick, you boob. What a clown. You know what, Mr. McGovern? You represent everything vile and reprehensible that we hate. I hate about politics. I hate it about your party. I hate that you sit there and you lie for a living. Like, do you go home and do you look in the mirror? Do you kiss your wife if you have one? And do you say, my goodness, sweetheart, I did a good job today. I feel good. Or do you know that you're nothing but a rat-fink loser? Because that's what I see. Stop trying to gaslight the American people, congressmen. See, we're on to you. They're on to you in Arizona. They've been on to you in Pennsylvania. They're on to you in Colorado. Just ask the young lady who's been thrown away in prison because she's so on to you. She got freaking proof of a corrupted Dominion voting machine. But other than that, I'm sure I'll get struck by lightning because that's more likely to happen to me than some kind of voter fraud happening. Got it. So fun, isn't it? Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is on tap. 2 coaches, a principal, and an athletic director make a really bad decision. And in the end, a young woman is violated and ignored. It is unacceptable. Next. The story is
nuts.
This is something that, again, we can all agree, regardless of your politics, you should be able to agree that a man shouldn't be allowed to compete against a woman in sports.
Especially certain sports. Like, even if you're going to make an argument, this is about a wrestler, and that's just, there's way too much there. Like swimming, you're at least in different lanes.
Look, I think it's
Still don't think
uncomfortable
right.
watching dudes put their hands in each other's crotches and flip them. Whatever, it's a sport, you do you. But when you have a man against a woman, what could go wrong, do you suppose? Because think about whatever could be the most disgusting thing that could go wrong. Because that's what happened.
Yeah.
During a match. The Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, they see people from all over the country. I'll never forget the woman from Oregon who got in touch with me. She's like, look, I came into Pittsburgh to see Dr. Rafferty, and while I was there, I double timed and I went over and I saw Dr. Simkovich. I'm in town from Oregon. I'm getting it all done. And I was like, how did it go? And she's like, well, I stayed in Pittsburgh for 2 months. 2 months to grow my discs back because my doctor told me I needed surgery, and I did not want to do the surgery. So she was able to work remotely from Pittsburgh, go through the therapy to grow back her discs. It's called intradisc neutrosis. And then after 2 months, bounced back to Oregon. Dr. Simkovich fixed her concussion, and Dr. Rafferty alleviated her back pain, which is just such a gift. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com, a procedure that is 98% successful and non-surgical. That helps people and their discs grow back. And so they are no longer in pain. 412-906-9600. 412-906-9600.
And for all yes, especially. There you go. Just for you.
Were you mocked for saying especially?
Yeah. Whatever.
Look, I'm only allowed to do that.
You still know what I said.
I'm only allowed to do that.
Yeah, you still know what I said. So there's that.
That sounds like a suck it.
It's a suck it.
It's a suck it. It's okay to have a suck it every now and again. All right, let's see what's going on with you guys. Are we closer to 3.5? No. So now we need about 800 people. Let's focus first on getting to 3,000 rumbles. All right. So we have 5,800 people on. That's great because it's super slow over on X, which is peculiar. Only 300.
So X must have changed their algorithm or something, because I used to get alerts when you go live on X, and I don't now. And it doesn't show automatically in my feed. You have to go to the top. I have to go to the top and find yours.
Right.
And then click on it. And it takes you right to the show.
Maybe you should try to fix that.
Well, since I don't work at X, and to follow that up, I don't work at Rumble, so I can't fix Rumble's perceived problems, glitches. I can barely fix what's wrong with this show when it goes wrong. So
How about Ilhan Omar calling Trump the leader of the pedophile protection party? That's rich. Really? Isn't it just a shame?
Isn't it a shame that these people act like children?
Mm.
Wait till you see your ex feed later with Pam Bondi. Oh, we have to play some of that tomorrow.
Yes.
I saw just a few, and they're just childish. Like the bickering, like this is what you. It's like watching it's like watching a Facebook argument. It's so ridiculous.
Agreed. All right, let's see.
Although she did have the mic drop with, "You aren't going to tell me you washed up."
Loser lawyer. And she goes, "You're not even a lawyer." Loser. It's so true. I mean, like, honestly, Jerry Nadler.
Well, that was to Jamie Raskin, but this voter fraud
Yes, that
stuff,
was to Jamie Raskin. You're right.
I'd like to, if Jamie Raskin, well, he has said it. It's just a few. I want to be like, so if someone told you, you have a few cancer cells.
Your daughter was raped only by a few people.
Yeah, only 14%. Well, you only have a few cancer cells. Well, do you not want to eradicate it?
Mm.
Because cancer spreads, much like fraud. Their arguments are so stupid.
Yes.
Well, just my steak's bad. Just cut that piece off.
Mm.
And enjoy the rest of the steak. The rest of the steak's fine. Oh, yeah.
Sort of like my pork.
Pork, yeah.
Gotta say
that
it
one
that
rib
way.
on the end was fine.
Pork.
The rest were rancid, but so
You're not going to put that bag in your car, are you?
I'm just going to say that I wasn't invited over for steak night.
I'm not having steak tonight.
I thought you
why
said
would
you were.
No, I said I was thinking about it, but I'm not having it.
Oh.
Boys have a basketball game, and it's a big one. It's against the rival.
I haven't been invited to a basketball game
Shut
since they were like
up.
6.
If you want to go to a
grade.
basketball game, it's at 9:15 tonight.
Where at?
Their school gym, not high school, but their elementary school gym.
I think I was at the last one. They were in like 6th grade.
Mm.
And then we went to Ryan's game right after that. And he drained a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you all went nuts.
He drained 5 threes.
He's going to say he drained a couple, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a memory.
That's pretty good. It's all right. AARP called you. It's all good.
He told me. Talk to Wendy. She already knows.
I've got the 55-year-old face, and you've got the 40-year-old brain. Sharp.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
Who can take your money? With a twinkle in their eye. Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government. The government can. And the government can, because they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good. Government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions, like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. Who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave. And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. I don't care if you hate me, I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government can.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Welcome aboard. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio program is live. Remember to follow us. Get wendybellradio.com onto your device. Download us. We are 7 million podcast downloads strong. That is huge. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, make sure you plug us in and get us on your device. All right. So I do not have daughters. Could not buy a daughter if I tried. but I am a girl. And I remember what it was like to be a young girl, and it's hard enough, right? Teenage years. Oh my gosh. I think there's 5 years of photographs, either where I have no front teeth or they're very bucky because they grew in really big and in a hurry, right? It's an ugly time. Nobody feels good. It's awkward. It's probably not a good time to be molested at school when you're wrestling a transgender dude. Say what? What did you just say? I missed that. Right. I kind of snuck it in. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being a parent of daughters right now? I know a lot of you are. I know a lot of you are like, what happened to this country? You know, I think a lot of it started, I remember when that gal, I forget her name, when she joined the Citadel. Do you guys remember that back in the 90s? And there was a young lady who wanted to join the Citadel, which at that point was for years, like generations, it was an all-male institution. And she came in and she got accepted and ended up, I don't know, I think she ended up dropping out. I forget all about it. But then they started letting women do everything, right? Women can be in the military, women can be in combat. Look, I'm not a chauvinist. I don't think I'm being unfair. There's some areas that men should be able to have their space, right? And women should have their space. One of them is a locker room or a bathroom. I don't think a man should be walking around that space. And the left, in whatever infinite wisdom they think they had, decided to create this weird narrative that you could be whatever you want to be. You want to be a toaster? Okay, whatever. You could be a woman if you're a dude, and you should be able to change because you say you identify as being a chick. In locker rooms with young women who are ostensibly getting naked, taking showers, doing whatever they do, and that's supposed to be acceptable. Well, it's not acceptable. It never was acceptable. And if that makes me extreme, well, so be it. Guilty as charged. You ready for this? On the Undivided podcast by, and I forget this gal's name. I think she's fantastic. It's Brittany something or other. I'll got to get her name for you. But she's got this story. She breaks it out. Here's your headline. In no way is this okay. Brock, what were you going to say?
It's Brittany Hughes.
Thank you, Brittany Hughes. Teen athlete says she was sexually violated by trans wrestler, and the school district did nothing. What? Because this brings me back to Scott Smith. Remember the father from, where was that in Virginia? Loudoun County? Whose daughter was anally raped by a boy in the bathroom at school because the boy said he identified as a girl and he was wearing a skirt. Interesting. Callie Keeler has been wrestling her entire life, Brittany writes. The 16-year-old sophomore at Rogers High School in Puyallup, this is Washington, says she's never experienced anything like what happened during a December 6th match with in-district rival Emerald Ridge High School. A couple of minutes into the 190-pound bout, Callie found herself face down on the mat, with her opponent's arm between her legs and fingers pressing into her vagina hard. What happened and did not happen in the 2 months that followed highlights the extent to which public school districts in Washington state will go to protect trans athletes at the expense of girls and even at the expense of following the law. Video taken by Callie's mom on December 6th captures the disgust and the panic in Callie's face. And you do see it. She is absolutely horrified. She tries to mouth something to her mom. Her fingers are in my vagina. Her mom cannot make out what she's saying and is on the wrong side of the map to see what's happening to her daughter. The referee is also out of the line of sight. I don't know what she said. I don't know why her face looked like that. Her mom can be heard saying to someone off camera. Traumatized and confused, Callie decided to let her opponent pin her. I just wanted the match to be over, the teen said. Her hands grasped together. I could tell she felt awkward even talking about it. Who wouldn't? After the match, Callie immediately told her mom what happened. I couldn't find my coach, she said. There were other matches going on. As she waited for a break in action to inform her coach of what she felt like was an intentional sexual assault, a coach from an opposing team came up to her and told her something that would make the ordeal even worse. Callie's opponent was a biological boy. I was shocked, she said. She had no idea. No one had told her before the match. To be clear, Callie intended to tell her coach what happened before knowing her opponent was a boy, but now she felt motivated or violated in more ways than one. 2 days after the match, Callie's parents emailed coaches of Rogers High School to find out what they intended to do about what happened. This is a huge issue and something that is 100% not okay, her mom wrote. The fact that this was done by a biological male who identifies as female is an even bigger issue for me. Like, where do we go from here? Callie had also spoken to her coach personally about the incident. I told her how uncomfortable the match made me feel. She said she was looking into it. In a December 8th email response to Callie's parents, her coach seemed to take the accusations seriously. I most certainly would not put Callie on the map if I thought she was competing with a male. I'll investigate this. I'll look to see if we have video on our end. I will touch base with you earlier this afternoon or maybe tomorrow morning after I do my due diligence. Family says they never heard back. Never. That's coach. Crickets. Callie decided to email Undivided, this is Brittany Hughes' podcast, about the story a few days after we reported that at least a dozen female athletes at Emerald Ridge High School were complaining to school administrators about the presence of two boys in their locker room. What are we doing? The girls told the school principal and vice principal that the boys made them uncomfortable. In our January 22nd story, Brittany continues, we identified one of the two boys the girls complained about as a 190-pound wrestler on the girls' team. That was when Callie realized that more girls than just she were being hurt. She emailed our tip line on January 25th. Ever since that incident on the map, it made me reconsider returning to wrestling because I'm not so sure if I can or will feel safe on the wrestling match. On that wrestling mat, rather. We emailed the school district for comment on January 29th. The next day, the school reported Callie's allegations to the Pierce County Sheriff's Office nearly 2 months after district employees had a legal obligation to do so. Okay? Under Washington state law, public school employees are mandatory reporters if they suspect a child has been abused in any way. That obligation extends to accusations of sexual assault committed by other students, regardless of whether the teacher, coach, or staff members find those accusations to be credible or provable. And failure to report such information to law enforcement is a gross misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail, a $5,000 fine, or both. I say both. Now, in this very succinct and smart commentary, Brittany says, this is disgusting. Listen.
Video is now going viral of a female high school wrestler who says she was sexually assaulted by an opponent that she thought was another girl, except it wasn't. And the video evidence is pretty messed up. Callie Keeler, a 16-year-old sophomore at Rogers High School in Washington State, says no one told her that she was actually wrestling a biological male. In the video of the event, Callie can be seen clearly going into distress during the match and trying to communicate with her mom, who couldn't understand what she was saying above all the noise. Callie says the other wrestler sexually assaulted her by ramming his fingers repeatedly into her genitals and refusing to let go. She says she let herself be pinned just to make it stop. Only after the match did a coach from another school inform her that she was actually wrestling a 190-pound biological male. So Callie reported the incident to her school, who she says did absolutely nothing and ignored mandatory reporting requirements. Only after an independent news outlet reached out to the school for comment 2 months later did the school finally file a police report. Callie then learned that over a dozen female students at the male wrestler's school had reported him for making them uncomfortable in the girls' locker room. Almost like someone could have seen this coming. This is what actual girls are being forced to endure in order to prop up the left's little gender war in support of mentally ill people and perverts. They're being trounced in sports, they're being beaten in boxing rings, they're being gawked at and groped in bathrooms, and now they're being assaulted on wrestling mats. So, hope you're proud of yourselves, libs. So much for women's rights.
Brock, you know, you don't have children, but you can understand Scott Smith at that Loudoun County School Board meeting, losing his ever-loving mind, telling them, my daughter was raped in your bathroom, and you did nothing.
I'd have some teeth marks on my fist.
100% correct. Except you're told, no, you just need to quiet that down. This is the new way. No, it's not. It will never be the new way. I hope the principal, the coach, the athletic directors, all of them. Ring them up. Ring them up. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the 30 liar's gonna lie, you guys. Maryland Governor Wes Moore, you know, he fancies himself presidential material, but he doesn't have like the zhuzh for it. So he made some stuff up, and then he got called out for it. Oh, I hate when that happens. Next. Like, honestly, what would you do if that was your daughter?
Honestly, I'd find that boy and beat the living shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next phone call would be to you to say, hey, I need bailed out. Can you come bail me out? I would beat the living tar out of him. And then I'd go to the athletic director and I'd beat the living tar out of him too. And then I'd go to the coach and beat the living tar. There is nothing you can stop not being a father. I could see a father redlining to where I don't care how big you are. I'm going to keep swinging. I personally would have grabbed that wrestler by the... But then again, she didn't know he had junk. I would be on...
I just find that so weird.
Yeah.
Like, was the junk cut off? Because aren't those unis a little squeezy?
Well, he probably went to Target and got a tuck. Remember they sold those? I would be whooping ass is what I would be doing.
Right? I mean, honestly, what would you guys do? Would you like follow the normal channels, or would you want to kill somebody? I'd want to kill somebody.
There'd be no channels. There'd be no channels. If they knew about it already, there'd be no channels. I would.
John gave you $10 for Brock's American Pride Bail Fund.
It's. I'd gladly sit in jail. I would gladly sit in jail for that. But you know what? And I'm probably no different than a lot of you. If I was out there and saw that and knew what was going on, I'd walk onto the mat. It doesn't have to be my kid. It doesn't have to be my daughter. You know, and you know, I'm going to consider myself a gentleman. I'd go into the girls' room and yank some bitches out by their hair. Like, get out of the woman's room. You know, like, what? I just look at it. Would I want a man in the bathroom if my wife was in there?
Where are the dads, though? Where are the dads?
That's a great question.
They've got to be there. Where are they?
I would be beside myself, angry.
Because I'll give you a whoosh.
Yeah.
Fox News alert.
This just in. My fist in your face.
Father goes ballistic and roundhouses all. It's like that guy. Remember the guy who was being cornered by all of the jagoffs?
Yeah.
And he clocked the one dude and knocked him out cold, and he just went boo. That would be you. You just be like, oh yeah, you want to try to touch me? Not happening.
I had an incident in college in a bar with the girl I was dating. You can say what you want to me, but when you cross a line...
How much time do I have left?
1 minute.
I want to tell you guys about GLP-1 Gold. This is the GLP-1. That's the hormone inside of your body that communicates with your brain and says you're done eating, you're full. For a lot of people, that hormone stops firing, so the messages aren't received. The shots like Ozempic trigger that in your brain, right? It tells your brain you're done, right? And it crushes your appetite. GLP Gold, from my friends who make Juvenon's Blood Flow 7, they have a product called GLP-1 Gold that you can get right now. Try it, Wendy 30% off, which naturally gets that hormone, your own GLP-1, firing again. No shots, same sort of effect, but without the intrusion of something that you don't know the long-term effects of. Juvenon, I trust. Blood Flow 7, I won't live without. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. GLP-1 Gold, 30% off. Radio program. You know, before I bounce over to tearing apart Wes Moore, just don't lie. Can we just say that? Just run on who you are. right? Run on who you are. You are perfectly imperfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Stop it. Stop faking who you are, because when you lie, when you steal valor, when you lie about your LSAT, when you pretend that you graduated the top of your class, right? When you lie about all this stuff, it's invariably going to come back and it's going to bite you. But one more thing about this wrestler. Where are the dads? Where are the dads? I know a lot of you men who are listening to me right now, and I love that the growth of this program among male listeners, it's now like a 50-50 split. We used to skew 75-25 female to male. We're now 50-50, which is one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. When men listen to a woman talk and fall and get and understand and enjoy, that is huge. I got to say to you, how angry are you after hearing this story about a female high school wrestler who doesn't know the woman that she's wrestling against isn't a woman, it's a man who puts his fingers into her vagina during a match, and I'm going to tell you, it wasn't gentle. Where's the outrage? Where are the men? Where are the pitchforks? Where are America's fathers fighting for the young daughters? Look, I'm a mom. I'll fight freaking anyone. I'm 120 pounds. Well, maybe 124, but we just try not to talk about that. Right? Where are the men? I don't know. All right, Wes Moore, you creep. Freebeacon.com. I saw this just scrolling some of my favorite sites yesterday. If you want to become president because you think it would be really cool to be president, like, can you imagine being the most powerful person in the world? Oh my God, that'd be so awesome. Whew, that would be so neat. Versus the trajectory of the country is so bad that if somebody who doesn't know better doesn't step in and fix it, it's going to disappear. Those are two different things. Wes Moore is the former. I want to read you the story. Pressed for evidence to support his often repeated claim that his great-grandfather and grandfather were run out of South Carolina in the 1920s by the KKK, Maryland Governor Wes Moore produced no evidence. Instead, his aides pointed to the, quote, broader reality of race relations in the Jim Crow South. Wait, what? Oh, no, he lied. Like, that didn't happen. But like, it happened to some people. And so the broader reality is like contextually, right? It could have happened. It didn't, but it could have. So we're really not going to talk about that. Look, if you're a black dude running for president and you want to claim that the KKK went after your family, you damn well better have receipts. Because that's disallowing. We're not going to litigate a family's century-old oral history with a partisan outlet, Moore spokesman Ammar Moussa told Fox News yesterday. The outlet had asked him about a Washington Free Beacon report revealing that Moore's story is flatly contradicted by historical records and is almost certainly false. Well, the broader reality is not in dispute. Intimidation and racial terror were pervasive in the Jim Crow South, and it rarely came with neat documentation. Really, it's so interesting when they get caught being D-bags. Moussa's statement is reminiscent of a defense offered on behalf of former CBS News anchor Dan Rather, who based a 2004 60-minute segment of Suck on fraudulent memos criticizing then-President George W. Bush's service in the National Guard. The scandal ended Rather's career at CBS, but the New York Times reported in a story that carried the headline, "Memos on Bush are fake, but accurate," typist says that the memos, though fake, contained accurate information. The information in them is correct. The Times quoted an 86-year-old former secretary saying of the forged memos, Rather did not respond to a request for comment. Yeah, because he's a loser too. Well, Moore's great-grandfather, the Reverend Josiah Johnson Thomas, preached at a church in Pineville, South Carolina in the early 1920s. Church records and contemporary news reports reviewed by the Free Beacon indicate that, contrary to Moore's claim that Thomas fled secretly to Jamaica in the middle of the night, he made an orderly and public public transfer to the island of his birth after a prominent pastor died unexpectedly a week earlier. Amid the copious documentation of Thomas's life and career, there is no mention of trouble with the KKK, which operated openly across the country in the 1920s, but never had a chapter operating in Pineville. Hey, Wes, lie better, buddy. I mean, come on, man. When we come back on the Wendy Bell, you can't make it up. When we come back, the left's economic gaslighting is running on empty, ladies and gentlemen. The better the economy gets, the more desperate Democrats become, and it is beautiful. 11,779. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
And I'm not going to, please don't assume or think that I'm jumping on you. But the person that said, don't jump to conclusions just because of that video. Did you watch her face?
I'm pretty sure in that moment when she
goes, are you really going to make that up?
His fingers went into her body.
Yeah. Or you think she's really making that up? And real men out there, it doesn't need to be your daughter. You'd be not okay with that, period.
I'd have a pitchfork and a freaking torch yesterday.
Yeah. She was
mortified.
Yes.
What if that, honestly? What? It's not even worth it.
Wait, check your text.
Are you going to hurt my feelings?
No. Yeah, maybe.
Don't hurt my feelings. So, just in, the U.S. House approves a rule for the Save America Act. The bill requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote and photo ID to cast a ballot. Okay, that's part of the deal.
Did you see the rest of it?
No, I just read the headline. Hold on.
Final vote, 216 to 215. GOP no vote, Thomas Massey Hole.
He's a cancer. He needs to go. His personal vendetta against Donald Trump.
Anymore.
He needs to shut up and go away. And anybody who's like, I like Thomas Massey, he's such a libertarian. No, he's a little boy who got butthurt because he got tossed from the club. And so now he's going to be a dick about everything. Make America great again is not about your politics, Thomas. And it's not about your feelings either. Grow up. Why do you do that to me?
But
Donald Trump's texting me. Shh.
That's his second one this morning.
Wait a minute. He says I'm not paying attention to him. Oh, I'm letting him down by ignoring him. Oh, maybe it's not him. Somehow, the Republican Party of Pennsylvania thinks I'm a precinct captain of my neighborhood. I'm not.
Bob is.
I'm not. Okay? I'm not going to go knock on my Republican neighbors' doors to make sure they're still Republican. I'm not. They have flags outside of their house. I know who they are, right?
286.
Oh, so bad. We need to get to 3.2. Literally, I have to tell you how important this is. Like, if we don't have advertising, we don't pay for all of this. And that is what does it. So I'm going to even go. I'll see how many people have been watching already. How many people have seen this show already so far today? Let's see. 36,000. And we can't get 500 people to hit that thumbs up button underneath my face. Really? Why?
By the way, I don't need to promote him. But if Fox has become unwatchable for you guys, like it has me in the last 2 weeks, no affiliation with Newsmax.
I love Carl Higbee.
Dude
I just love him.
exposed himself last night, and
He said he was a victim of sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm. And I was just
did he give you any
details? No.
I mean, not even details, but like parameters of
no,
context.
he said, being a victim of sexual abuse, I had to go in front of my whoever assaulted him, and testify. It's hard, but you have to do it. Let's get these people and blah blah blah.
I did not know that.
When he said it, I texted you. I'm like, oh my gosh!
I did not know that.
Talk about being extremely open, about something that I'm sure no one wants to talk about.
I have called him a boyfriend before. So.
I said this to her. Closest show out there. If you are not a watcher of his show, it's the closest thing you'll get to Wendy on TV news. I love him. I tune in every day, and I can't say that I tune into any show every day. I enjoy his commentary.
Did you just get an Arctic
blast?
Oh
yeah, you didn't hear it? It's like it was almost like Fox News alert. It was like alert. We're turning on the AC and it's
for the love.
34
All right,
degrees.
Dr. Dubiak, bodybyAIM360.com. Call, go, inquire, get on the program. I've watched the success of it. 70 pounds and a new lease on life. Joints that don't ache anymore. Better sleep, more focus and concentration, more stamina, I hear. 70 pounds. The program works. And they offer you guys savings if you do want the shots. $249, I think, for 1 month, half off. 412-227-9255. bodybyAIM360.com.
Check out their new scale.
Oh, God.
Wendy love.
It shows my zhuzh.
It's like, we're looking at your zhuzh.
Wendy Bell radio program. It's a Fox News alert. Just in by a vote of one. One more vote, 215, 214, or whatever the bejeebers it was. The House has passed the Save America Act, ladies and gentlemen, barely, because Thomas Massie, who President Trump ditched a long time ago, right, has a gripe against this president and will do nothing for the benefit of Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if it's for the benefit of the people. It doesn't matter if it's for all of America. It doesn't matter if it's part of making America great again, that God forbid we should join the rest of the uncivilized world. It's civilized and uncivilized, by the way, that requires a voter ID. Right? That you should prove who you are, that you are an American citizen before you register to vote. And that before you cast your ballot, you have to show everybody your ID. Thomas Massie voted against that. Hey, Thomas, go home. Go back to Kentucky or wherever. Go. I feel for you, right? You have your own TDS. And I don't understand it. See, there's something bigger than you when you are elected to serve in Congress. It's called everybody else. If you're in it for you, like Wes Moore, right, who lies about his grandfather and great-grandfather being run out of South Carolina, right, by the KKK, there are people who want it for them. And there are people who know it's going to be a slog of their lifetime, that it's going to be the hardest challenge they've ever attempted to accomplish, right? But that the greater good for the entirety of this great nation requires them to serve. Thomas Massey isn't here for MAGA or the country. He's there to be a thorn in the side of this president. And he almost ruined what you and I believe is a critical part of making sure 11,779 doesn't happen again. Right? So now it goes on to the Senate, where you have fossils, Murkowski, and Collins. Y'all, we have to figure out Maine and Alaska real fast. We got to get these fossils, these old rhino losers out of here. They said they'd only be around for a couple of years. It's been like 40. Beat it. Done. Move along. We want to have a go-away party. Okay? Not going. A go-away party. Interesting. I'm just looking at this right now. New poll from the Neapolitan News Service. Which party is likely to win control of the Senate in the 2026 midterms? 1,000 registered voters responded. What do you think? Republicans, 49%. Democrats, 33%. Like, I don't know where the other 17% went, but a huge idea there. Get with the program, Senate. Get with the program. All right, let's talk about some financial news, all right? Because one of these things that the left has held on to as one of its, I don't know, it's like ammunition in the weapon to try to destroy Donald Trump, is the affordability thing that they foisted upon the American people with Joe Biden and Barack Obama, basically sinking the economy, twisting everything inside out, making, drill baby drill went away. He drained the petroleum reserves. How many different ways did that Biden administration destroy the financial outlook and the economy for Americans that we still feel the results today? It's a lot, right? But all of these financial indicators that are coming out, all of this stuff, the $245 or $54 billion in tariff revenue that we've already gotten, these job numbers that show already in the new year, 130,000 jobs just in January. And these aren't farm jobs. These are, and 172 private sector jobs created just in January. Like, what is the left going to go to? Minneapolis is settling down. Things there seem to be doing okay. We're deporting people that need to be deported, right? The whole Epstein debacle is blown up in their face as it now comes out that Donald Trump was the actual whistleblower who blew in the FBI about Jeffrey Epstein and his sordid endeavors. What are you going to do? Is there a virus? Is there something? What is the Hail Mary? What's the 11th hour thing? Well, it's not this. Fox News Babe says this. Look, the Trump team is connecting with all groups. Dana Perino walks by this big wall of 4 different graphics. And she's like, look, it's all people. It's gig workers who rely on tips and overtime. It's senior citizens who are getting a break on their, deductions and what have you. It's people buying cars. It's young people with children. Everybody is getting a cash in this year because of Donald Trump and the big, beautiful bill. Listen.
On tips and overtime, there's a max reduction for tips is $25,000. So imagine if you are somebody who uses tips as part of your salary or to make your living, that will have an impact. The senior deduction, you have to be 65 years old. It phases out at $75,000. But again, for people who are saying gas prices, which are lower, but that food prices are higher, that it's hard for them, that might help as well. There's a no tax on car loan interest. Now, that can be helpful, but what might be even more helpful is what they announced last week, which is they're doing away with some of the EPA rules on these car and fuel mileage. That actually will help bring the cost of cars down, probably even more. And then a child tax credit expansion. That's very bipartisan. A lot of people like this.
Oh, as a mom of 5, I enjoyed very much my $10,000 deduction for my children for several years, right? That's huge for families trying to keep it together with kids. So you have to ask yourself, when we read this headline from the Gateway Pundit, media reporting Trump's tariffs cost Americans $1,000. but they're ignoring overall savings of his policies. They can't help themselves. It's sort of like 24/7 with Nancy Guthrie. They have to keep beating in the same thing. They cannot give this president a victory. They cannot show that his policies and his ideas, which they long ago said were crazy and un-American, that's unconstitutional. What? That's a threat to democracy. All of it is working. I'll just read you as far as I could get into this because it's fascinating. Media outlets were quick to glom onto a study that found President Donald Trump's tariffs resulted in a $1,000 increase in costs to the average American household. Oh no. However, they did not couple it with the savings Americans are experiencing overall, thanks to Trump's economic policies, which more than offset the price of tariffs. The Tax Foundation, which leans conservative, does not like tariffs, as its latest study confirms. They came out strongly against Trump's tariffs beginning in February of last year, shortly after he took office. ABC News reported the research called Trump's tariffs the largest U.S. tax increase as a percent of GDP since 1993. It suggests the president's signature economic policy is exacerbating cost of living concerns at a time when many households are grappling with persistently high prices. According to the research think tank Tax Foundation, the federal government collected $264 billion in total tariff revenues in 2025, far short of the trillions regularly touted by the White House. Well, that's not true. He didn't say that trillions were coming in right now. He said trillions had been committed, had been pledged, whether it be through tariffs or by manufacturing. 264 you're going to decry as falling short of what he promised. What the hell did Joe Biden ever give you, you clowns? Right? Similar, Yahoo Finance reported the Tax Foundation's research suggests the president's tariff policy worsens cost of living concerns as households struggle with persistently high prices. That's the media narrative, right? Trump is making your finances worse. Affordability, the top issue for voters in this upcoming election, right? Well, Trump did a cost-benefit analysis and determined that imposing tariffs strategically can bring manufacturing back to the United States, which means more American jobs. What did we just report? 130 new non-farm jobs created in January and 172,000 in the private sector, which means a lot of good stuff. This is why Mercedes-Benz, Hyundai, Honda, Stellantis, some of the manufacturers that have announced production in the United States. And oh, by the way, for the first time in 26 years, U.S. steel manufacturing just exceeded Japan's. So please, asked about this, President Trump, outside of the White House, said this.
Rent prices continue to drop under your watch as president. What is the secret sauce to those prices coming down? Is it the deregulation, the mass deportations? What's the secret, sir?
We've had massive price reductions. In fact, you don't hear the Democrats with their arguments about affordability because they caused the problem. And I haven't heard that word now in 2 weeks. Prices are way down. Energy is way down. If you look at gasoline, $1.99 a gallon. And sometimes, as you saw last week in Iowa, it was $1.85 a gallon when we went to Iowa. So we have the prices coming way down. I think we have the best economy maybe we've ever had. But again, I mean, to me, the big news, 50,000 the Dow hit, and most people felt if I could do that in my fourth year, we did it in my first year. So,
and the biggest horror for the left is the tax refunds. Listen to this mom of three thanking the president for no tax on overtime.
Trump's big, beautiful bill promised no taxes on overtime. My husband works 6 days a week as a machinist at Anheuser-Busch so that I can stay home and raise our 3 kids that are all under 5. Big, beautiful bill just made it so that he did not have to pay taxes on any of that overtime. Our refund is huge this year. Thank you, President Trump. You came through. We just got a fat, fat check coming our way.
How are they going to compete against that? That, a closed border, he's not part of Epstein's debacle. It's all unraveling for the left. I know I shouldn't be so happy about that, but I am. When we come back, a former Democrat, a self-avowed liberal, walks away from the movement and apologizes to MAGA. Oh, it's interesting. Don't miss this next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I'll say this again because they don't. If your gas is not cheaper, don't blame the president. Blame the state you live in.
Yep.
Ours is 60 some cents on every dollar. So
Every gallon.
every gallon, I'm sorry. So do I think gas will be $1.99? No. In Pennsylvania, ever again. But 60 cents a gallon, 60 some cents a gallon, that adds up. That adds up real fast.
And we have one of the highest turnpike tolls ever. For the privilege of driving to anywhere, it's like $50. So our boys play in Baltimore at a soccer tournament. That's going to cost us $120 in turnpike tolls.
Yeah, it's like $38 to go to Gettysburg.
100
One
and
way.
mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting. So we have a soccer tournament coming up, and the coach put out, you don't have to go away. The coach put out a message to all of the families but one family. And the message was, we have a family that cannot afford the $400 for the spring season of this travel league.
I'll pitch in.
Right.
I'll pitch in.
Well, no, but I mean, like, and of course, Joe, he's like, I'm going to give him $100. I'm like, yeah, it shouldn't take time at all to pay for this young boy's, not young boy, but for this kid's ability to play. Right. And you know that they struggle because these weekend things, if there's games, they start on Saturday. So instead of coming up, even if it's hours away, they drive up day of so they don't have the hotel expense.
Well,
so it's like anything that we can do. And like during the games, we regularly, one of the nights that everybody's out, we'll pick up one of the tabs for dinner for the boys or what have you. All of the whole team, right? Who wouldn't?
You'd be surprised.
If you could, who wouldn't?
Right. We had a family friend that their kids played football, and one of the kids couldn't play because it's a single mom. She couldn't afford it. And it was a $275 like entrance fee.
Right.
So this kid could have pads and a helmet. And she was telling me about this. I was like, listen, by no means, I was working in radio years ago, could afford.
You were really making $4.
Yes.
Yes.
And I said, I'll pay it. And she's like, what? I was like, well, if the parents won't pay it, she's like, well, let me put out an email. She said the majority of people said no. They got enough. But I was like, are you serious?
Wait a minute. I don't understand what you mean. The majority of people said no to what?
Chipping in, exactly what you just said, chipping in to get this kid the ability to play. And I'm like, are you kidding me? She's like, no, we got just enough. I'm like, geez. I mean, how many kids are on a football team? It takes to raise that much money. If everybody pays an extra $10, like, it's sports is
kid's a great kid, and I love his
kids,
parents. They're the best. It's a great family. Like any of them, you would do that. That's called not political. That's the majority again. I think some things.
It's helping the kid more than the parents.
Some things are just, if you could.
Sure.
Yes. I liked this soundbite, not because it's a liberal who realizes the error of her ways or what have you. She acknowledges the rigidity of the club that she used to belong to. She actually has a very sincere, I'm sorry, to people on the right. And she's making this concerted effort to go back and scrub ugly comments that she's made about people and stupid videos that she's posted about things when she didn't know any better, she said. And she's like, look, I just want to come on the record and I want to tell you I'm sorry. It's a very unusual thing to have a liberal identify some area where they got it wrong and actually come back to you and like, about that. Like, because they're never wrong. There's never that awareness. There's never that reflection in my personal experience that I can say. In this woman, yes. So this woman comes out and she says, look, she's a 32-year-old former Democrat apologizing for falling for the propaganda. Here's how it begins.
Left the left a couple of weeks ago, and I would just like to apologize. Anyone who saw any post, comment, repost of mine that had any sort of leftist ideology and propaganda. I was so wrong. I can't even begin to explain how it feels to realize that you've been fed propaganda for years. For 32 years of my life, I have been an independent but left-leaning and Democratic voter. I'm so sorry. I fell right into the propagandist, radical, leftist craziness. Please understand that the woke mind virus is very real. It's very real, and it is embarrassing as hell coming out of something like that. However, I'd like to say that I am so grateful to every Republican and conservative that has been so kind to me and welcoming and forgiving.
Don't you want to do like a case study on this? Like put her in a cage and be like, all right, don't go anywhere. We got to assemble a team of scientists. We'll have some probes and whatnot, but we need to in real time identify what's going on here so we can see what's going on inside the mind of a liberal. And she continues. She's like, look, I'm so sorry. I did things I shouldn't have. I criticized people in the autism community, she said, who just wanted answers. This is telling.
I'd also like to apologize to the autism parent community. I took part in the propaganda about eugenics. I made several cringy videos about eugenics in regards to what RFK was doing and what Trump was doing. And I was so wrong. Not only was I wrong, but it is absolutely inappropriate for me to have judged any of you for wanting a cure to autism or just information about autism. I myself have a profoundly autistic, soon-to-be 7-year-old. After doing my research, I understand, and I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am.
Very interesting. And then finally, she says, look, I've paid a big price. And you can tell this is where it hurts. And I think all of us, at least many of us, have one of these stories where you've lost a friendship, you've lost a personal relationship because of your values. And when that happens, you grieve that because it's so unnecessary and you can hear the pain in her voice. Listen.
I realize that this is going to cause me to lose a lot of followers. That's okay. I don't have that many to begin with. I've already lost my best friend over this, so you really can't hurt me. If you find yourself trying to criticize me or leaving hate comments, that's fine. I understand. I was like you. I did those things too. Also like to apologize to this administration for being skeptical and for spreading misinformation and propaganda, leftist propaganda. I understand now, and I am in full support of this administration. And I, again, am so sorry. So sorry.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I'm not sitting here celebrating it, thinking that this is like some beginning of a phase and all of a sudden people are going to start waking up. I don't know. I think some people have that ability and others don't. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that my former neighbor, who I've never spoken to, has a literal panic, visceral reaction when she sees me. I don't understand that. And I wish you Godspeed. If you are out there and you're affected by somebody on the right because you're just hook, line, and sinker dug into the liberal nonsense that your brain knows makes no sense, right? I don't know what it's going to take. But I can tell you, you know how conservatives responded to that young woman? They welcomed her into the tent and said, I think you'll be comfortable here. Thanks for being a part of the program. I hope you come on back tomorrow. Bring a friend or 17. Remember, 11,779. Who else is talking about that today? We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.